What's up, everybody? I'm Jeremy. You guys are watching Inside the Coils. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. I know some of you are probably watching the Super Bowl, or maybe some people that are watching this on the replay. Maybe you guys thought that the Super Bowl would be cooler than hanging out here, but I hate to tell you, I think you're smoking something. Right here's where you guys should want to be, it's just gonna be a lot more fun here than it is sitting down watching a bunch of guys go around and laying on each other. I don't know. I don't get sports. I'm not a sports guy. I'm sorry, folks. Please don't hate me. But I have never gotten into the Super Bowl. I always loved the commercials, though, and even the commercials have started to suck. So anyway, we've got Jim with us tonight from Straight Blast Pythons. So we're gonna get to know Jim a little bit better, find out some of the stuff he's working with, and just kind of the direction where he's planning to take Straight Blast Pythons in the future. And we're just going to have a good time. Like I said, greatly appreciate everybody that's here. Please, everybody, hit that like button. Greatly appreciate all the love and support. Definitely check out our sponsors, which through the live, we will go through and give thanks to our sponsors. Do want to start off with giving thanks to Holly from Exotic. So if you guys saw that awesome intro, that is all thanks to her. Without her, I wouldn't have the awesome backgrounds, wouldn't have the awesome intro, the outro, and sadly, I always forget to do the outro. I'm sorry, Holly. I just can't remember to do that outro for some reason. It's been 2 seasons of no outro, and now all of a sudden I have an outro. I'm a creature of habit. But thank you, Holly. Everybody, go check out Exotic. She's also got an awesome YouTube channel, and on top of it, she does a live stream Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. I forget. Holly, if you're in the comments, drop it. I can't keep my days straight anymore. But she also does a really awesome laid back just laid back and live on Saturdays as well. So go and check out Holly, please. Let's bring out our guest tonight, Jim from Straight Blast Pythons, everybody. What's up, Jim?
What's going on, man?
I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I am just like, I don't know. I'm kind of not with it tonight. I'm not going to lie. Today's been kind of it's been a hectic day. Found things going on with Dad, and it's kind of got my head a little flustered. And so that's why I'm a little jittery, jumpy, kind of screwed up with how words are coming out. My brain's
not just too much caffeine, man.
No, dude, no. Sadly, caffeine doesn't do shit anymore.
I understand.
I could drink coffee all day long, and it's just a normal me. Like I need that to just remotely function. Let's go through and say hi to everybody that's here joining us tonight instead of watching that stupid Super Bowl. Which I'm not gonna lie. After I realized it was Super Bowl weekend, I thought, shoot, maybe Jim wants to go to maybe he's a sports guy, and now he's not. He can't go to his party or something.
I'm not a sports guy at all, man, and I didn't even realize the Super Bowl was this weekend until yesterday when I was talking to somebody and they brought it up. Like, it is what it is. I don't follow any of that. If it's not, MMA or motorsports or something, I don't follow it at all. And even that I'm, wishy-washy on. So.
All right. Well, see, that makes 2 of us then. So I don't feel so bad now. Because I thought, crap. It's like, I probably should ask him if he wants to cancel. And I got the thing. It's like, well, if he wanted to cancel, he would have said something. It's like, all right, man, I'm just going to run with it.
I ain't a sports guy. I'm a nerd, so it works.
All right. I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. So we've got Greg from Rippin' Reptiles. What's up, Greg?
What's up, Greg?
Greg is also one of our channel members. Thank you very much, Greg, for all the love and support. Got Sammy Vargas. What's up, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Tara, Voodoo Doll Royals, another channel member. Thank you very much, Tara. Tara will be on, is it next week, Tara? I think it's next week. Or, hey, is Tara on?
I think it's next week, if I remember your slides right.
Yeah, 18th. Yeah, 18th. Yep, next weekend. So everybody, make sure you guys are here for that. Let's see who else we got. We got Eric's Morph Factory. What's up, Eric? Thanks for tuning in. Rob, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I think Rob was one of the lucky people that got to have one of the free channel memberships awarded to him last weekend. Ashley from Pip Stalkers she's able to give out free channel memberships, and Jim. Rob was one of the lucky recipients of it, apparently. It's kind of like a completely randomized thing. We got James Perry, JNS Exotics. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Morph Kings, Cody, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Mark from Brotherhood Exotic Morphs, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Nikki, what's going on? Good to see you. Irresistible Pythons. They did a live the other night, and it was very entertaining, guys. Go check out their YouTube channel, please. And we got this guy here. We all know this clown. He's the guy that basically keeps all of us laughing in the PA group chat. Chris from Balls Deep Reptiles. What's up, dude? Chris, your latest meme of Danny was absolutely priceless. Actually, you know what? I feel as though we need, because you know the thing, Jim, you know the thing about Yoo-Hoo and the whole mythical powers of Yoo-Hoo, correct?
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you don't know the mythical powers of Yoo-Hoo, my friend, we need to get you to have a Yoo-Hoo.
I've had it. I think it's absolutely disgusting, but I know that there are people who swear by it. So,
well, let me blow myself up here once. This is probably the best meme that Chris has ever come up with. If it would just focus, there we go. But it is Danny inside a Yoo-Hoo car. Absolutely the best meme that man has ever done. I loved it. Let's see here. Who else we got? Mercy Morse. Joe, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Kike, what's up, dude? Good to see you in the chat. Thank you very much for all your love and support. It looks like Kike was also one of the recipients of one of the free memberships last week. James B. More Exotics, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Oh, crap. My brother Chris, another one of our channel sponsors. What's up, bro? BNS Reptilia, guys, go check them out. Mainly Morse, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. And that catches us up. Oh, yeah, Rob, trust me. I wasn't going to swipe, dude. I was not going to swipe. I'm not gonna plummet my channel to that level at this point. M&B Reptiles, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. And Ledka, what's going on, dude? Real quick before we dive into this, everybody, I did update my morph market. So throwing out a couple of hints here to if there's any TSK Exantic lovers in the crowd, you might want to go check out my morph market. There's a few animals there that have become available that I was going to hold back, some that have become ready and are now up for grabs. You might want to go check it out. Just saying. But let's go ahead and dive into this. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let me make myself big here. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What got you into the hobby and industry, and what do you do or did you do before all of this?
Well, as far as getting into it, I'm one of those COVID babies that people like to make fun of. You know, we came in during the COVID time. Not because of COVID. We weren't one of the people that started out, just because we had excess money, we were bored with something to do. But I did have some reptiles when I was younger, not a ton of crazy stuff. My dad was into some of them. We had some lizards and some frogs, no snakes though. But a couple of years back, my wife started watching a lot of Brian Barczyk videos, snake discovery videos, and she was kind of doing it on the down low, kind of like she didn't know how I'd react to it. And then my older daughter started watching them with her, and they were kind of being like stealthy about it, and eventually kind of like openly watching it because saw it one day and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Not realizing that I actually did like them and was into them. I always wanted to, get an iguana and, a bunch of various lizards when I was younger, beyond just the stuff that my dad was keeping. But my daughter was always getting obsessed with snake discovery, once they started watching it, to the point where it was literally on TV all the time. Like, she would wake up in the morning and the first thing she would say is, I want Emily. And it would be on TV. So we wound up one day after our second daughter was born, going to a local pet store when we were living in Virginia Beach, Pet Paradise. I know Greg's mentioned them a couple of times in a lot of these chats. So it was like Rock and a couple of other guys. And one of the people working there was walking around with a ball python around her shoulders. And my daughter just became hooked. Like she became obsessed with it. We came home and she's just, I want ball python. I want ball python. I want ball python. And, I went there with the intention of maybe picking up like a gecko or something like that, something that, a 2 or 3 year old be good with. My wife and I were talking about it. We went in there a day or two later. We picked up a corn snake and a rosy boa. Neither of those were good enough for our daughter. She wanted a ball python. We went back in. Those 2 snakes became third with ball python, and then it just kind of spiraled downhill from there, downhill, uphill, however you want to look at that. But now we've got, a couple of years later, we've got over 100 animals in the house, and
it's grown
is what
rapidly.
it is. So.
I think you kind of probably came out on top of that one, though. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm not complaining at all.
From having geckos and stuff in the past with Dom and everything, the geckos were more of a pain in the ass, in my opinion, than the snakes.
Oh, we have geckos too. So like,
God,
I'm mostly into the ball pythons, and like with straight blast, I want to be into all kinds of pythons. Like I got some womas here as well, looking to get into a couple other species. But my wife, she's also started breeding under the name Garden of Garters and Geckos because she really likes garter snakes and geckos, as the name implies. So we got cresteds, Leos, gargoyles, lychees, chihuahuas, velvet geckos, morning geckos, some kind of giant gecko, chameleon geckos. We got all kinds of stuff in the house, man. It's like I was saying backstage, we have a menagerie here, and we've got well over 100 animals between the two of us, and that collection just seems to be growing.
That's all right. I will say this: the Chihuahua geckos are probably the coolest freaking gecko I have ever seen.
Like, I agree. Out of all the ones she has, I like the Chihuahua the best. Although the Australian velvet geckos are a close second.
Australian velvet geckos. I don't know if
they literally look like they're made out of velvet. Like it's really cool.
Okay. Yeah. See, I'll have to look them up once because I don't know if I've ever seen one of those. Maybe if I see a picture, it'll jog my memory or something. Like the Chihuahuas.
You don't see them very often. They're not a very common species.
Okay. I know the Chihuahuas. I love like that. The color mixed with I almost want to say it's like military camouflage look to it.
Yeah,
like
a little bit.
It just kind of really, they're just badass looking for whatever reason. Nathan from Infinite Possible Pythons has them. He breeds them too. And he was showing me some that he got at the one show. I was like, that's a badass looking gecko, man. Like that was wicked looking. It's like the hell with the cresties. It's like that's where it's at for me, is like just that look.
Yeah, when you start talking to New Caledonian stuff, I definitely think the Chihuahuas are the nicest as well. I like the lychees though too. Kind of the size of them.
Okay.
That's just what I like. But I like how big they get. Again, the coloration, the lychees and the Chihuahuas, in my opinion, are the nicer ones there. But we've got mostly cresteds and gargs down there, just with a spattering of other stuff.
Okay. Now the gargoyles, correct me if they're the ones that's the one that has like the Deadpool line, correct? Like,
I believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to speaking gecko, I'm not the one to talk to. That's my wife's range. I'm really not. Like I know some of the basics, some of the basic morphs, some of the basic stuff with them, but that's really about it. Okay. I can tell you the difference in species, but when it comes down to like, what's popular, the lines of them, that's not my wheelhouse there.
I gotcha. That's kind of, it's like when, like with me doing the ball pythons and the carpets, my buddy Mike does the boas, and every once in a while I'll have somebody ask me a question about like one of the boas we have up for grabs. And it's like, dude, I will give you Mike's number. You could talk to him personally if you've got questions about shit, because I don't know. I don't understand the genetics with the boas. It just baffles me with them. It's a completely different lingo, and yeah,
it's just like anything else. Just like you got to learn ball pythons, you got to learn carpets, you got to learn the species. That's all it is. It's just the time to invest in figuring it all out.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of time. And man, like all the morphs and combos, like just with the ball pythons, it's hard enough to keep track of, let alone go and add in something like with all the, just say crested, for instance. Like there's so many crested morphs, or genetics. It's mind boggling, man. I don't know how anybody keeps that shit straight.
Dude, those ones aren't the hard ones. For me, it's the Leos, because there's so much like line breeding and just polymorphic traits in the Leos that like I look at some of them and like I couldn't even tell you what they are. I really couldn't.
I feel you. Although, you know what, though? I still think leopard geckos are one of the happiest looking geckos there is. They always look so happy. I don't know why.
They do. It's just, I think it's just that facial structure. They look goofy all the time. But that's
They
just like,
do.
I think crested geckos look like they're retarded half the time. They got that derpy look on their face all the time. It just is what it is. My wife likes to say that all crested geckos in the world share one brain cell, and it's just a matter of which one has it at the time.
I love that. Phil, what's up, dude?
My daughter stepping in here. What's up? I'm on live. Okay.
So, isn't like Oreos good with?
It is. Go. You can have some.
You're good, Chip. You're good. What up, Phil? Thanks for tuning in. Mainly says very true. Greg says the problem with geckos is they have legs.
That is a problem. They also jump, which can be annoying. But
oh my god, yeah. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Brandon's Outdoors Adventures. What's up? Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. So, what did you do before you even got into all this stuff? Like, what were you doing as your main source of making the money, basically? Like,
I just retired from the Navy.
okay.
So I was active duty for just over 13 years. I was medically retired. So I was trying to do 20, and they told me I was unfit and goodbye. So, you know.
On behalf of myself and probably everybody in the chat, thank you very much for your service, dude. I appreciate that. And
glad to do it.
It's
actually a lot of fun. So I enjoyed doing it for most of the time.
I've got several good friends that have served and are still currently serving as well. And you know, the sacrifice you guys have had to make for us, whether it's out in the field or just getting moved all over the place. You know, it's a big thank you is deserved to all of you. So thank you very much, Jim.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we're a military household. My wife's a vet. I'm a vet, and it's just part of the life, you know.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, tell her I said thank you as well. I didn't realize she was a vet too.
But yeah, I just retired from that, so I am technically considered a disabled vet. I've got retirement from that coming in, and like I said, I was doing that for 13 years, and now I'm just trying to figure out life.
Yeah. Hey, you know what though? I think you've got it. I was watching some of your recent videos here just to get myself caught up on your content, and I think you're on a good track, dude. You're on a good track. It seems like you've got your plan together for it. So I'm excited.
I think so. Like
for you.
Like my goal, like I said, was to do 20 years, and I figured I was gonna have about another 7 years, 8 years at that point in time to build Straight Blast up, and I wasn't trying to move fast with it. And now I'm kind of like trying to shift gears because I don't want to work for anybody else. I can't even talk. I don't want to work for anybody else. I just want to, enjoy an early retirement. I want to breed snakes. And then I also, prior to us moving, was teaching martial arts. I'd like to get back into that now and just work for myself in those two aspects and enjoy life,
See, that's kind of like I was telling you backstage, I'm currently laid off from work. Now, it happens every year around wintertime. Apparently, you can't blacktop in the cold.
That's what they say, man. But like, I'm originally from Illinois. We just moved back here, and they try doing it here all the time. I mean, it doesn't work very well, but they try it.
they give it the old college try.
Yeah.
But no, so every year I'm laid off, and as things have progressed more with the on the snake end, it makes me realize it's like, okay, I'm really not happy working for somebody else. I enjoy doing all of this a hell of a lot more. And it gives me even more drive to make all of this more of the focus and the success and to get it where I need it to be within, 3 years ago, I told my boss he had 8 years. So the time, the clock has started.
Right.
But I think, I'm getting really close to that cusp I'm at. I've got some projects where it's like, we're going to be hitting some double visual recessives, working on some of the triple stuff. Everything's kind of getting set up for when that 8 years comes to fruition, that it's kind of go time at that point. So
you can actually be able to retire at that point in time, or you're just planning on stepping away?
I think what I'll probably do is once I get to that point, I might work another year just to make sure everything's in order, start banking all of what I make from work and just see how we do, using just what the snakes do, using that to see can we actually make it just with the snakes, or do we have to do something else? Do I have to get a part-time job and do the snakes? Do I need to start doing rats on top of the snakes? Like there's a few different things. I figure if I do totally say, hey, I'm done doing excavating, adios, I'm going to do the snakes, I'll probably just start the rats up anyway, because I'll have some free time. So I'm thinking, it's another, another income source. Plus it stops me from having to pay for to feed all the snakes then.
So that's actually what we just started doing, because we weren't doing rats. I was dead set against doing rats for, pretty much since the start. I wanted nothing to do with it. Didn't want to take care of them. But, we moved up here from Virginia. We're in Joliet, Illinois now, so like an hour outside of Chicago. Okay. And we still are having trouble finding feeders in this area. Like they're around, like you can get them, but they're expensive. Honestly, the quality hasn't been as good as what we were getting when we were in Virginia. And okay. I've noticed a difference in the snakes. On top of having trouble getting them and it being more expensive, they're not eating as well, just stuff like that. I've noticed some regurg issues, and I just wanted to kind of take control of that. So we started breeding our own stuff here just a couple months ago, and I'm ramping up production with that right now. But we were talking the same thing just a couple nights ago with, I got, enough space to probably double what I need. Okay. So we're talking about probably overproducing at least for, 6 months to a year to kind of see how that does, see if we can keep up with it, see if it's worth doing, just as kind of an extra thing there. Plus we're trying to do a lot of renovations here. Like we're renovating our basement right now to actually set up 2 reptile rooms for the 2 collections. And, if we can fund that by, overdoing the rats a little bit. Well, ASFs, actually, we're not doing rats, we're doing ASFs, but if we can fund that by overdoing the ASFs a little bit, why not,
Well, no, I wouldn't blame you on that one. I know that, like, I've got this shed out back here at my place, and everybody said, Jeremy, that's the perfect rat shed. And you just run some power to it, put in an AC unit for winter or for the summertime, put in a heat unit for in the winter, you're golden. It's like, I do, but it's the time. Time is the key. And at the moment, for what it costs me to feed the collection, I can make do paying, the frozen thaw price. Because I think for small rats, I think smalls are about like $1.80, something like that.
That's a lot cheaper than they are around here.
What's your average rat price right now?
For a small, you're looking about $3.50, $4, depending on where you're going.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Whoa.
But
okay.
So when we moved up here right away, my immediate concern was like networking, trying to, meet some people in the area. And there's a local local exotic shop, Chicago Reptile House. The owner of it is Brian Potter, the guy who runs the NARBCs.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that name sounds familiar, but okay.
Yeah. So Brian Potter is one of the owners of that. And as soon as we came up here, I just happened to be lucky. He had posted on Instagram, they were looking for somebody to help out with their collection. So I'm retired. I figured, well, why not, an extra day or two? I volunteered for that. I've been kind of part-time working for them. It's not really making a paycheck, but they're handing me feeders for taking care of their collection. So until we get our, stuff up and running, that's kind of how I've rectified the feeder solution. Just
that's not a bad gig on that one, dude. That's not bad at all. Chris says Jeremy, prices are going up. You better not jack my prices up, bro. you take care of me.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day. I forget who it was, but they were saying they were seeing prices of like $7 and $8 a rat where they were at. And jeez. Like it seems to vary drastically what part of the country you're in. Like I remember when we got into it, we were paying like $1 a small and that was back in like 2019, 2020-ish.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how much they've gone up.
I mean, I can see $2.50, $3 for a medium. I can see that. And like I said, I don't know all the money that goes into it and all that stuff. But I've heard like the $7 to $10 for, like smalls or mediums. And my head just freaking spins. I was like, I can't imagine trying to feed a collection.
No, not at all. And that's why we're going to breeding our own, because if it spikes to that type of a price around here, there's no way that, I'd be able to keep up with that if I needed to.
Yeah.
Especially when you start talking about like, having 50 to 100 plus hatchlings to feed on top of that,
Phil says that rat pups where he's at from the retail are $4 a pop. For a small rat, it's $7. Holy crap, dude!
So I'm saying I've seen people talking about $7 to $10 a rat, and it's just insane.
How in the world, man?
It's getting to a point where like you have to breed or you have to have a connection for feeders to really have a large collection. And like I don't even think we definitely don't have a large collection comparatively, and I wouldn't want to be paying retail prices to feed this thing feed these every week. I just couldn't do it.
No. Hell no. That'd be even more reason for me to stick with the whole vegan every 2 weeks like I do. Vegan snakes. That would be a good one, Rob.
New version of the Reptilinks right there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
and Tara said something about the carpet. Xena there wants to podcast too. Tara, just so you know, Xena is probably not sure what to do about with all of his free time now that he is done with the ladies. It is official. The carpet breeding season is over for the year. Lagatha should be giving me a pre-shed very, very soon. And Chris there from S Reptilia, he was so generous to let me borrow his big jungle girl, Celeste. And Chris will vouch that Celeste, I don't think she's probably ever turned down a meal. Well, let me tell you, I was making the dead rat dance the other night, and she wanted nothing to do with it. She didn't even come to investigate. So I'm pretty sure she's done too. So there will be 2 clutches of jungle carpets this year at least. We'll see what my boy Hercules has done with Nathan there, because Hercules went to go do some work over at Nathan's place with his, a caramel jag? Yeah, I think he's got a caramel jag girl. We wanted to go for some jungle jags and see how we can hit the odds on that. So we'll see if we get a third clutch, but there's at least 2.
Well, you and I will definitely probably be talking later this season because you said you were watching some of my stuff. I'm looking at getting into other species here over the next couple of years, and carpets are one of the ones that I'm seriously looking into. Carpets and short tails are the 2 that I'm kind of going back and forth for my next species right now.
We'll see. It's jumping ahead a little bit. Well, here, let's run a sponsor thing, and then we'll dive into that topic. I know it jumps ahead a little bit from where I was going to talk about, but it's a good segue.
Your show, you lead to where you want to lead. I was just pointing out that you're talking about the carpets.
Hey, no, this works. This is why I love live streams. Let's run a sponsor out here real quick, and we'll dive into that topic.
Sounds good.
Let's see here. Here we go. Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC is located at the All-Star Event Complex in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's a 45,000 square foot venue with 125 plus vendors and top quality breeders, along with 270 plus tables. If you're looking for a python, boa, colubrid, gecko, lizard, or amphibian, you've come to the right place. Doesn't matter if you're a breeder looking for that missing piece to your project or a pet owner looking for your next scaly friend, Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC has you covered. Need an incubator or rack system? They have you covered with sea serpents set up there to meet all your needs. The next show dates are November 11th of 2023, March 23rd, and July 20th of 2024. Show times are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to check them out on their website, Instagram, and Facebook. Mark your calendars because this is one show you don't want to miss. So I'll see you at Gettysburg Reptile Expo LLC. And that ad's kind of fitting because if I remember correctly, Gettysburg is where I first met you. I was actually like one of the very first times. I don't even think I was vending the first show I met you there.
You weren't. You were up there, I think, hanging out with Chris.
Yeah, I was hanging out with Chris and Nathan and everybody. I was hanging out with them, and it was one of those things like you came up and introduced yourself, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is.
Yeah, he probably didn't.
Told me and it was like, it's like okay, and then it was after we got done talking stuff, it kind of dawned on me. It's like I didn't realize how that people would come up and be like, hey, I watch YouTube, like it just. I'm still like that. It still doesn't click and registers a lot of times.
Right.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, and not to suck up to your sponsors or anything, man, but like I missed that show. Since we moved, we haven't been able to make one of the Gettysburg shows, and we used to love going to that one. Like we've never left there without something. Like every time we went there, we'd walk away with an animal, and that's honestly a great show. It's one of my favorites that I've been to so far.
So I love Gettysburg. We have actually worked out a thing here where I will now be helping to sponsor the Gettysburg Reptile Expo. Not only do they sponsor me, but I am now a sponsor of the show. So greatly appreciative of that opportunity as well. So yeah.
Yeah, so, just about everything we got to start out with came from there. So
all right, that's badass, dude. See, that just shows that, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff at Gettysburg, and this guy here almost missed the bandwagon. Mr. Phil from Finger Snakes. Luckily, Chris from S Reptilia is such an upstanding gentleman and got you squared away. But Phil was apparently having such a good show at the last Gettysburg that he forgot to hand in his registration for this show. So he almost had to miss out. Good. But Chris Hattie's back.
They got like a long wait list. Like if you don't get your registration in, you lose your table for the next couple shows kind of deal, similar to NARBC.
There's people that are on the wait list to get in, and it's just kind of I don't know if it's that you're off the wait list or if you don't hand in your thing that you're like off the list in general, but you got to be there for that when the show is again to get that form in before all the tables fill up, because basically I was told a few days after that show, basically everything's sold out already. So
yeah, I remember we tried getting into it once, and we were told there's no way. We were told like it was like 2 shows ahead before we could get into it, and that's too far ahead of planning for us. So
that sounds about right. Dude. It is tough to get in there. I do know that, like a lot of shows too. I think with everybody doing ball pythons, having other species definitely gets you through. It gets you through that door a little bit better too.
And and I'm not saying that that's the reason why I'm bringing another species, but it definitely helps. It wasn't the initial reason, but it'll definitely help.
Yes. And like, for instance, Hamburg show. I know a bunch of us have been trying to get into the Hamburg show. And since they've moved, they got a bigger venue. They expanded how many people they were going to allow to vend it. And a bunch of us never heard anything back from inquiring about getting a table. But Chris from S Reptilia got in basically no problem from how it sounded, but Chris has just about everything under the sun.
Right.
So
yeah, he's got a lot from what I've seen.
I was going to say there again, I mean that, having that diversity, it helps you get in. I heard the same thing about like Tinley and stuff like that.
Yep.
If you have a wider variety of species, it gets you in because it's something different.
Yeah, talking to like Brian and those guys over there regularly, basically said, yeah, if you don't have something other than ball pythons, you're gonna be waiting years.
Yep,
like that's just where they're at right now.
And hey, that basically, it makes sense. It does make sense. I mean, if I'm going through a show, I see, if I'm looking for a ball python, okay, in my head I know what I'm looking for, but what'll drop me or stop me dead in my tracks is if I see something that isn't a ball python.
Right. No, it stands out. It does.
I mean, it'll stop me because it's like, ooh, something different. What's this? Carpet. I'll spot a carpet basically across the freaking room, and it's like a beacon to me. And whenever I see the Bloods or the Sumatrans, that's just a done deal. Which that's where we were going to segue this all into.
Right.
So
nice subtle pullback,
Yeah, nice subtle pullback. Yeah. What's like? Is there certain subspecies of carpet that you want to get into? Do you want to do the jungle, or what species are you looking at, and why?
I don't know, and that's part of where I was talking the other day. I said, or maybe a couple weeks ago, I told you in a message that I wanted to start picking your brain about some of that type of stuff, because I've been talking to a number of different people who are into the carpets, and honestly, like I like the IJs. I think they're Papuans now, right? They don't call them IJs anymore.
Correct.
But I like them. I like the jungles. I really like the diamonds, but I don't. I think that the diamonds, from what I've been told, need a much lower temperature to breed, and I don't want to have to adapt what's going to be the reptile room just for that. Otherwise, I'd love to get into them.
Yeah, I said the diamonds. I think you've got to drop them. God, I think I've heard people dropping them to like 50s. Like they take a lot colder temps to kind of kick into gear, from what I've been told.
Yeah, and that's what I've been told and what I've read as well. My issue, and I shouldn't. This isn't an issue. Kind of wrapping it back to ball pythons. The thing that really drew me to ball pythons initially is the variety, and that's kind of where when I'm looking at the carpets, it's like you got different subspecies, different morphs, and I like the variety. I like the ability to have an array of different animals. And to be honest, when it comes to the carpet stuff, and the one thing that is like holding me up from saying carpet's the way that I want to, well, one of two things holding me up from saying carpet's the way that I want to go is when you start looking at like the, I don't want to say obsession, but focus on lineage and getting into like what's pure, what's not pure, these crosses. And like, I'm getting confused doing research. Like some of the morphs are only there because they're crossed with a different subspecies. And it's like, so an example, there's a local guy here who's got a bunch of albino carpet babies that he just hatched out. And like, I like the albino carpets personally. He's claiming, he's claiming they're 100% Darwin, like pure Darwin.
Okay.
But
so
he has
I do think that the albino did originate from the Darwin blood.
And it did from what I understand research wise too, but he has no lineage to back it. I know that the albino has been crossed into others. He's got them priced a little bit low. He's not, I'm not saying that you have to be a big name guy to have pure lineage. Obviously, like I'm a nobody in terms of like snake breeding type stuff. So I'm not saying that there, somebody can't be, small and have good stuff, but like he can't offer a lineage. His prices are really low. Like I have a hard time believing that they're actually 100% pure Darwin when I'm comparing it to other stuff on the market. And it's like where I'm looking at a lot of stuff in the carpet community is like, what are you really getting? If that makes any sense.
No.
And like, I have no problem with, having crosses and stuff like that. I want to know what I'm buying.
Yes.
And when I'm looking at a lot of stuff, I'm not seeing a lot of like, hey, this is what this is. Yeah. I want to be able to accurately represent whatever I'm selling when I start breeding things. I don't want to just be like, hey, it's a crapshoot is what you're getting.
No, and
like,
that's
really
that is the one thing where I've also kind of, I don't want to say hit a speed bump with the carpets, but like my female, I got her at Hamburg. I don't have any lineage on her. I really don't have any lineage on Xena, other than I do know the guy that I got him from. And I can go back into his stuff and, get the pairing that I did make him.
And he doesn't have lineage on his animals, I'm assuming.
If I bugged him, I bet you I could probably get some, but I've never really asked him for lineage on it. I know Pedro did. I think he works some pretty pure stuff. But don't quote me on that. Mitzi, what's up? Good to see you. But then I've got Chris's girl Celeste, which she looks like a very beautiful, pure looking jungle as well. Like there's nothing that looks, like there's anything else floating around in there. But I don't know if Chris has the lineage on her or not. So it's just kind of I think you're gonna have like there's two sides of that of the whole carpet debate. You have the purists, which there's a good bit of them, but then you also have the people that's just a beautiful animal, and that's why I like that animal.
And that's where I sit on things. Like to me, it's all about the art side of it, for lack of a better way of describing it. Like they say like they refer to ball pythons as just having paint jobs, and like it's that way with just about any animal. And with the carpets, it's a lot more line breeding and stuff like that. But and that's where I sit, just being able to have a beautiful animal. But that being able to represent what you're selling correctly is important to me, because I've made mistakes just IDing animals already. But just talking about the representation thing. So like this last Tinley, the last fall Tinley, I was there, and I'm not going to name breeders because I don't want to call anybody out here. Just like we were looking around, and there was somebody there who had a bunch of what he was saying were pure diamonds that he was selling. And he was asking like $1,800 a piece for them. So, that was on par with what I was seeing on Morph Market and other tables there at the time. And I was talking to him for a few minutes because he seemed like he was really, really straightforward, really honest. He had lineage charts and everything for all of his animals. And then I started talking to another person that was there that's a slightly larger name in carpets. And he just blatantly told me, he's like, those aren't pure diamonds. They're crosses that he bought from him the night prior. The guy gave a whole story about how he bred them and how, he cares for these animals and loves diamonds and they're his favorite, animals out there. And he produces so many of them a year. And he had whole manufactured lineage charts. And guys like, yeah, he bought those from me yesterday. Like picked them up Friday during VIP, had him on his table Saturday morning. So like it goes back to that, like you start talking the lineage stuff and it's like that's my problem when I'm looking at carpets and like I don't want to be like, hey, this is what I got and it be something completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just, but as far as like to your original question though, like I really like the coastals just because of the variety that they have. And I really like the jungles just because I think they're just the prettiest of all of them as far as like the contrast and coloration on them. And either way, I like the Xanthic varieties. If I do go carpets, I want to get into the Xanthics.
All right. Now I'm going to give you a teaser. Okay. Look up ivory jungles. Okay. They're hard to come across, but they are some of the most pure black and white snakes you will ever see.
I think I've seen pictures of them. I think I know which ones you're talking about. And those are the ones because those ones aren't even like actual recessive Xanthic. Those ones were line bred, weren't they?
Yep. Yeah. They're just it was years of line breeding. The lightest color yellows, and eventually they bred that yellow out to where it was white. And like I said, there's a guy local to me, kind of local to me anyway, that does work with them. Now, last year he didn't do a pairing with them. I'm hoping this year he does because I'm going to try to snag a pair of them. But that is high on my list. You've got the ivories, and then gelatin jungles are kind of like a natural Xanthic that's not really like a genetic Xanthic. It's just kind of how that line is, or that locality, I should say. So there's another, if you want that Xanthic look without, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only way to get Xanthic is by taking coastal blood and crossing using that coastal blood and crossing it into the jungles. Now,
yeah, that's what I've seen too. Most of them are jungle coastal crosses. So
yeah, but now for all that it's worth, since they did the reclassification, a lot of coastal stuff or a lot of jungle stuff is now considered coastal blood. So
I missed that part.
Yeah, they went like with this most recent more complete carpet python book or whatever they went through, and I guess like some things have been reclassified and there's some things that have slightly changed. So now technically the people that were all against the jungle jags, well, now that in theory that's okay because now it's not crossing
right
technically. That's why it comes out to, it's like, you know what, just make beautiful snakes, make what you love.
and like I said, that's where I really sit on it. It's just the being able to represent what I have is the biggest, like one of the biggest points of concern there. And I'm not gonna lie, the other issue is space, because jungles take a lot more space, not jungles, carpets in general take a lot more space. And like my goal is, like, I don't want to get huge. I'm not looking to be like somebody who's building a whole facility. This room that I'm building in my basement, I don't ever want to exceed it. Like, I'm not trying to have 400 breeders. I want just a small collection that's varied but strong at the same time. Like, I'm trying to shoot for a stronger ball python collection and have just some other options out there, because I want to be able to offer more. And to be honest, I get bored. I want variety, You
know what, and that's the cool thing with the carpets, though, is that there's no one carpet that looks the same. Like, all the jungle babies that I had this year, they all look different. The one, I mean, I can look at him right now and you would swear that he's got diamond blood in him. He is that tipped that it literally looks like he's got a lot of he's got diamond blood in him, and there's not. He's just a stunning baby.
Well, they've crossed they've done a lot of jungle diamond crosses, haven't they? Because like you can get a lot of 50% or less or more.
Yeah.
I mean, crosses.
There has been, and there was even some rumors that actually he's Hercules, the jungle that's over at Nathan's place. His great grandmother, I guess it would have been, was known as Cover Girl, which is probably, in my opinion, one of the more famous carpet pythons because it was on the cover of Reptiles magazine.
Okay.
I had heard stories about. There was theories that that jungle had diamond blood in her. So if those theories are true, I mean, he would be a low percentage of diamond, but
it could explain it.
But see, the only answer is that he's not the sire to this clutch. It was Xena that did the babies. But Xena's just got a whole bunch of tipping to him.
I'd be lying if I said I knew all the all the lines on the carpets. That's all still stuff I'm researching as far as where they're all coming from and the names. It's that'll probably take forever for me to get. I've been just kind of looking at the variety in terms of the morph and the subspecies, and really just kind of watching prices, doing keeping research, for husbandry and whatnot, just trying to figure out what I would actually need to go to get started. And after the last video I posted saying I was looking at the two. Jessica from Holdback Rack suggested, she's like, hey, get one or two of each and figure it out from there,
that's what I was going to
probably, yeah.
I was going to comment on that video. I thought, it's like, we'll talk about this tonight.
Yeah. But no, honestly, the thing that got me with the carpets in general was when I started handling them, because it's just they seem very intelligent. They actually they're more interactive than really. I mean, the closest thing that I've had to that is honestly the womas that I have, because they're very interactive as well. They're just similar into how they'll hold on to you, and you really got to pay attention to them. They look like they're sizing you up all the time, but it's just different than interacting with something like short tail or a ball python or something like that. That's just kind of there.
Well, I think it's because womas are Australian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
I think it's got to be something with the Australian species. Like that's because if you work with and Phil will agree with this, I'm sure. Phil does the spotted pythons, the Antaresia.
That's another one I want to eventually look into.
It's something with just the Australian species. It's like working with a velociraptor. Is how I always describe it. The lights are on, they're thinking, they're alert, they're paying attention to everything you do.
If you think about just Australia in general, though, the environment that they're in, they probably have to be, just their situational awareness probably has to be a lot higher than something like a ball python that lives in a hole in the ground, Yeah,
that's very true. That's very true.
Just being realistic.
And the eyes, yes, Phil. The eyes on Australian stuff is badass too. Like, there's nothing cooler. I love staring at the eyes on the carpets.
Yeah.
But now, all right, we covered the carpets. Now let's dive into the short tails there a little bit, because I think it's funny, because I want to get into short tails too, and the Sumatrans to be exact as well.
Sumatrans are actually my favorite of the three as well. To be honest, the chrome heads and the orange heads are what drew me to the short tails in general. And I just like the way they look. Like it has nothing to do with the way they interact, and I just think they're awesome looking snakes. And to be honest, again, they have the morphs, and that's a little bit more prevalent in like the morphs, especially when you start looking at the bloods, than say the carpets are. And it gets back to that whole like mad scientist, what can I start doing with them? Yeah. And like at first, I really liked the bloods and the Sumatrans, but recently I've started looking at the Borneos, and those have caught my eye a lot lately too. Especially starting to look at the marble and the I think the marble and granite. I don't know if they call it granite.
I know I've heard of the
marble and something else. Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't know a whole lot on the Borneo stuff. I know the bloods have more morphs and all that stuff to them.
Yeah, I'm just learning on the Borneo stuff right now. That's been what I've been researching a lot lately. But and those have the draw because obviously you can keep an rack system; they take less space. So that's kind of like the thought process there.
But and truth be told, like, I mean, I've got the the baby carpets. I was keeping them in the 1065 rack. I just now recently moved them over to the 5540, and I mean, they'll probably stay in that. I can keep them in that probably for, I don't know, maybe another year if I wanted to.
The room that I'm gonna have to work with after everything's said and done is gonna be like a 14 by 12 foot room. So
Okay,
when you start talking,
that's kind of what my room is here. It's about 14 by 12.
okay, yeah. So when you start talking about the adults needing I know most people recommend the 4 by 2 by 2. I've seen some people say you can get away with the 3 by 2 by 2, but I don't know. That seems a little small compared to like what some of the bigger carpets can get, in my opinion.
I said I'd go. Yeah, I have 4 by 2 by 2s, and I think that's
just like
plenty of.
How many can you fit? It's because I'm sitting here thinking like I want to keep. My goal is ultimately only to have 40 breeder ball pythons in the mix. So we're looking, a ARS 5540 or Freedom Breeder equivalent rack, and then probably one of the. Well, I think those are the 80 series tubs, the bigger ones that you can fit the bloods in, the short tails in, and then after the two of those, whatever space is left over from there is what I'd wind up having to have larger enclosures for some of these bigger species. Because like the womas require a little bit larger enclosure. They're not arboreal, but they just size wise. And I'm thinking way down the line. I got womas. I might as well get blackheads in the future, just because they're awesome, and you might as well have them.
Well, if you've got no, because I always do the ARS racks. I know my buddy Mike keeps his boas in. I can't think of what size ARS rack they are, but they're really long. They're almost like the width of.
I know which ones you're talking about, and those, if you probably don't remember this, but in one of your lives a while back where you were talking about the carpets, I was asking about housing for them because I was looking at possibly doing those for carpets because I've seen a couple people do them for carpets, but they're only like a foot in depth, so there's not a lot of climbing room for them, and just I don't think that'll work out as much after research them. I know some people do keep carpets in racks, but it just doesn't seem right to me for there are arboreal species. So
no, I was more thinking that you could do that for like the womas. And you could incorporate the bloods into that rack then too.
So the bloods, there's they have a different rack. I think it's 80 series. I'd have to double check on the size of the tub, but it's like the equivalent of 255 tubs put together. So it's like on a standard ARS rack, you'd be able to fit two of those drawers side by side. And I know a lot of people use those for the bloods. And if I wind up going with the short tails, that's what I think I'd probably wind up going for the adults. But they take forever to grow out anyway, so that'd be a later problem.
That would be a decent size, and that probably I could see that being the right size for a blood.
Yeah, but it's a lot of the videos I've seen and people that have been talking about it, keeping them for breeding purposes. We're using that size of a tub, so it's obviously not unheard of. And
yeah, no, I love the chrome heads. I missed the one that I had years and years and years ago, and that's part. I keep telling Chris that he's got to make me some chrome heads, and I don't think Chris. Maybe I'm wrong. I think he's got stuff that's got the orange head. So I might have to.
I saw he had one or two bloods posted on Morph Market the other day. I might have been. I think it was him. I might be wrong on that.
I said, Chris, I know he's got some.
I think they were bloods, though. I don't think they were Sumatrans.
Yeah, they were bloods. I know he does have Sumatrans, though, or one pair.
But yeah, I like the Sumatrans in general. I really like the marble and then the side swipe type stuff out of the Borneos. And with the bloods, I like the teen egg stuff in the bloods. I know a lot of people are liking the T positive stuff more.
Okay.
T positive Sumatrans. Okay, yeah. So those are the caramel albino ones.
So he's got the T positive bloods on Morph Market.
Okay. Yeah, I saw his stuff the other day when I was just browsing through, boredom and scrolling Morph Market until your eyes bleed.
Dude, yeah, Morph Market finally got me. They finally got me. And needless to say, the the wallet's hurting a little bit now after Morph Market.
Yeah, that's why I try to like not. I don't know. There's no other way to put it.
I
But
try to stay off of it because I know what'll happen, and
yeah,
it finally happened, and I mean, like for me, like if I'm gonna do something, if I'm gonna screw the pooch, I'm gonna screw the pooch good, and I did.
yeah,
That.
I'm one of those people who's like perpetually broke, so I don't have the ability to do that. But it's just no, it's still a thing. Like I'm still paying something off right now from Bob Vu that I got to pick up in Tinley. So
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's kind of, I'm working on paying this one off too. Like I said, it hurt. So everybody, about mid to late March, you'll be getting a new pickup video. You can see some of the what I picked up here. Rob says he needs a 12-step program for these auctions.
yeah, those are the dangerous ones. Like I sit there watching those all the time, and it's like how cheap some of this stuff's going for. It's ridiculous. And if I did have money, that would be painful. It really would.
Try hosting them, dude. Try hosting them and being good.
True.
That is even harder. I know it's hard for me. I don't know how Jessica does it. Maybe she's, well, I think she snagged some stuff too off of her auctions.
She does. I see her vote every now and then. She's got her husband sitting in the chat telling her no all the time though. So.
And see, I don't have that. I don't have that voice of reason. Everybody else, just bid on it. We'll figure it out. You can pay me as your. But yeah, no.
Morph Market is definitely dangerous.
Yeah, Morph Market, the auctions, it's all super dangerous.
What do you think about the fact that they actually got the auctions up there now? That's even more so. I've been watching, like, that's half of what I look at now every time I log into Morph Market, just their auctions.
See, I'm not gonna lie, I have not looked at any of the auctions yet on Morph Market, just because I know I'll find something, and I knew with my new recent acquisitions here, I had a vision, I knew the exact direction, and I was, very direct, and this is what I need, and boom, this is it.
Well, that's where I'm at now, like really squaring in on where I'm going. So like all this temptation stuff to buy, it's like I have, like, if it does not fit the few things that I've got listed down on a spreadsheet, it's just no go, just gonna pass it up.
Yeah, I know. Like, and then here's the other, like, I've got so many other awesome breeders, like Nathan, John, and Christina from Tribe. Like, they've got every, like, base. I mean, granted, they don't have my Xanthic stuff. I got, but they've got the genes that I want to put into my Xanthic stuff. So I really don't have the need to go and browse Morph Market a whole lot, because I know the genetics that I want to add, I can just go to them and be like, hey, this is what I want. Let's make it happen, type of deal.
And with that too, something that I think is kind of lost. People just, they see a gene listed on an animal, just like, hey, I want that, and not a lot of focus is given on like the quality of these genes. And I think that's something that we really need to move back to. And again, I say, I'm new to this, so what I say, take it with a grain of salt. But like, I think, and I'm going to use Pastel for an example, and I said this in one of my videos last year talking about Pastel. Like, I think Pastel is really a quality control problem, because you see some lines of Pastel that they don't brown out, and they're amazing lines even into adulthood. And then you see these ones that, like, you can't even tell they're Pastels by the time they're 600-700 grams, and it's just it really is something that there are just so many of them produced, and there's so many of them out there. There's just based on law of averages, there's a lot of bad examples out there, and people just, and I'm using Pastel as an example, but it's true for anything. You can get a good and a bad example of anything. And you get some of these genes that the quality of them hide in combos. Like Clown takes some of these things, like the Trick Blitz Hurricane stuff, and you can have a low quality Trick and put it into Clown, and that Clown will hide it.
Yep.
But then you breed it back out, and like the results that you're getting are lower quality afterwards. So it's like what you're talking about. They have the genes you want. You can make your own heads. You can make your own stuff bred into it. You can at least see the quality of what's going into what you're making. It's not a bad way to go, really.
It's not, in all honesty. And that's the one thing, like, and it kind of, like, the Bumblebee Clown that I had. I just
I like my pastel, so I can't say anything about that.
I love my pastels. That Bumblebee clown that I had ended up carrying probably one of the coolest, most beautiful, vibrant lines of pastel I've ever seen. Now, it's that good of quality that it kind of starts shining through a little bit in Exantic, which, Exantic takes out, it's supposed to remove, by all definition, yellow and red pigment.
Right, but you're also now talking about, what combinations it works well in again, because like pastel works well in Exanthic, just like you said. Now, if you get a really high quality line, of course, it's going to work even better, but you can even kind of, nurse a lower quality line of pastel going into Exanthic, because Exanthic by nature is going to work off what pastel's doing. So.
It does. But see, here's the thing though, like that line of pastel actually is I say overpowering loosely, but it kind of is overpowering what Exantic's supposed to do and actually allowing like a yellow tinge or hue or glow to come through what should be all white. And it's just like boggling my mind. Now, the regular pastel version of that animal, I've got one in the rack and she's actually close to ovulating, or I pull her out. But I mean, freaking, like I said, one of the most brightest, most beautiful single gene pastels, other than her being double het, but just absolutely gorgeous. It's just like, I don't get how people can hate it. Like you said, it's all a line thing,
Right. And like the pastel that I'm working with goes from right in the beginning, is one of the first animals we picked up before I really knew too much about, the genetics. But, we picked up from Nice Balls, a super pastel het clown that they were actually holding back for their own use, that they wound up, putting up for sale because I guess they needed to move some stuff really quick. And we picked it up, and, she's 2,600 grams now and has like very minimal browning on her. And I know she's a super pastel, so that kind of cheats it there. But like, I've got offspring from her that are approaching 1,000 gram now that have minimal browning on it, that are just that single gene. So it's kind of, again, it's the line you're working with. And I know there's a lot of pastel haters, and I just happen to have a lot of it in my clown stuff, just like a lot of people do. So I don't think you can work clown and not have pastel in at least some of your stuff. It's just how it is.
I like pastel and Exantic, pastel and DG. I mean, I think pastel has its place. Yes, people may not like it in clown because, I have seen some browned out.
Oh, so have I. So have I. I've seen some that are bad.
Very beautiful and vibrant pastel clowns as well.
Right. Well, I'm just talking like single gene here. I'm not talking like, with fire and yellow belly and all the other ones added in that bright it up, just single gene. But yeah, I agree.
Let's see here. Nikki here from Irresistible says good quality goes a long way. Totally agree.
Yep.
Let's see here. Greg says, well, that escalated quickly. Greg, I'm assuming you're watching the football game or something.
Either that or just the pastel talk. Somebody's trying to talk about that.
High quality tricks. Oh, man. So what genetics are you focusing on with your ball python breeding and stuff, Jim?
So I started out with that same mistake that everyone does, with just buying a little bit of everything. And like, I've spent the last year-ish focusing where I'm going with things. And really my goal is hypo clown with an extra recessive added on top. So like my main breeder male I'm using this year is a double visual, and I'm putting him to a bunch of different, recessive projects. So like I should be making, clown, double het for True Ghost, some, clown het for, you're probably gonna look at me funny for this one, but albino hypo. If you've ever actually looked into what they call the Sunglow ball pythons. So it's the albino hypo.
Okay.
You've pretty much never seen it. I've only seen one in person, but I'm curious just because it's one of those things like nobody works with. So I'm going to see, what we can do there. Getting some, I've got some het sunset stuff that I'm pairing into that just to try to, use some shed testing, try to get some triple hets there. Doing G-stripe pairings into that to get some, triple het hypo G-stripe clown stuff. I'm really pushing this season to get a lot of triple recessive projects going. I'm not trying, just with the market where it's at right now, my focus is just build for the future. So I'm trying to make a whole lot of triple hets. The goal, like I said, my plan is not to have more than 40-ish ball python breeders, when I'm at full swing. So I want about a half to 2/3 of that to be these triple recessive projects, and the remainder of it just to be like higher end clown stuff. So last year, like I said at the start of this, 23 sucked, and none of my clown stuff went. So I'm like a season behind on clown and krypton pairings. So I'm trying to make up for making as much, recessive and visual clown stuff this season. That's really all I'm doing. I'm just shooting for holdbacks, and whatever extra I make.
So that's not a bad plan, though. I know, like for this year, for me, it's a lot of going for those double visuals. So that way because I do have one pairing with 2 triple hets that I can produce a double visual that is het for the other. So I've got one thing to the triple hets there, or working for the double with a single het. But my big thing is going for the doubles this year, so that way I can then inject like Desert Ghost, for instance. If I can hit my Xanthic Clown this year, by the time that Xanthic Clown is ready to rock and roll, for if it's a male, my pastel DG girl should be ready to rock and roll by that point. So then I can insert that right away and get my triple hets for that aspect of it. Like everything for me, I've got to figure out how to work Xanthic into it, because let's face it, that's where that's where my passion is. I love my Xanthic shit.
See, I like the clowns. So even though some people say clowns are, played out, that's kind of where I'm trying to go with that. Everything's going to be a clown variety, and whatever. I'm going to try to take it in ways that, the market's not going otherwise. So I'm not shooting Batmans, not shooting Pompeys. To be honest, I don't have spot nose or leopard in my clown project. As as sacrilegious as that could be to say, I don't have either of those genes. So like I'm pushing different ways. I'm trying to really work a new baseline is where I'm shooting right now. I don't have a set end goal. I'm looking for what I want to use as a starting point, if that makes sense.
No, that does. And I mean, even though I'm going for like the Xanthic Batman stuff, I think your way of going about that personally is really smart, because while everybody's over here making the same crap as everybody else, you're over here on the other side of the field doing everything that nobody else is doing. So when somebody hits something, say you've got, Gene X, whatever Gene X you may want it to be, and it all of a sudden you hit something in, say, with your clown project, and it creates something just out of this world. While everybody's been over here playing this game, you're the only one. Sorry, I didn't mean to whack the microphone there. You're now the only one that's got that gene in that clown combo. So it puts you ahead of the game. You now then can hype it up, and everyone basically needs to start going to you, essentially, to get it all, to get that combo worked in faster. It's smart because you're not making the same shit as everybody else.
Yeah. So like I'm working the trick, blitz, hurricane, whatever you want to call that, into it this year. I'm going to try to see what I can go that route a little bit. I would like to get a GHI clown before next season, if possible, to try to start working that path a little bit.
Okay.
But a lot of stuff I've got right now is working, like some fire stuff, the yellow belly route, and stuff that has been worked a little bit, but I'm trying to get some less common genes into there. And like I said, doing stuff like trying to maybe do like an albino hypo combo, which I know albino clown is, pretty much just as popular as albino pied is at this point in time, which is not. But like I had recently seen, so like I said, I'm helping up at the Reptile house over here, and they've got a bunch of albino clown stuff. And like some of it, actually seeing it in person, when you start looking at the better quality of it, has caught my eye. And I'm looking at, if you've ever actually seen one of the hypo albinos in person. So like what it winds up doing is the hypo, especially like the orange ghost stuff, it brings in a little more oranginess into the yellows of the hypo. And if, hypo also helps to keep that contrast. So it prevents that bleeding that the albinos tend to get. So what I'm going to try to do is make albino clowns that maintain that color contrast and kind of pop that yellow a little bit more. And then if again, you look into that combo a little bit, it also kind of pixelates or breaks up. Instead of like bleeding into, you kind of get like a granity pixelation along the edge.
Okay.
Now, and because I don't even know if one's ever been made the triple like that. The only ones that I've seen have been the hypo albino doubles. So, just add clown, see what happens, And
Yeah.
it's a path, like you said, that nobody's doing. So I'm curious, what'll it do? Let's see what we can do. And then while I'm at it, in making the combos, I'm adding black pastel, I'm adding mahogany, I'm adding a couple of the dark genes in with it. So it should hopefully be, if it does turn out good, already having those dark genes, which complement the albino and the hypo even more. So why not? And in the meantime, if I can make some hypo and albino clown variants just at the doubles, cool.
No, see, I think that's an interesting way to take that project too. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, albino doesn't catch my eye, as odd as that may seem to people.
I like the candy and the toffee stuff better, but the I had some albino stuff already, so with how I said from the get-go, I kind of was all over the place when I initially started buying. As I'm refocusing the collection, I'm looking at like, what can I do with what I have, and what are some different ways that I can take it. So that's just, how can I play with what I got without getting too expensive and selling everything off and having to buy a whole bunch of new stuff, and how can I maximize what I got? And I guess that's kind of like an efficiency thought process, but it's just the way my brain works sometimes.
Well, I mean, you're doing something. You're going your own direction, blazing your own trail. I like that. I really like that, dude. I think that's smart. Because, like I said, you're not going to be making the same crap that everybody else is making.
No, and like next year, I'm planning on adding pied into the mix too. So I want to start shooting the hypo clown pied triples as well, with the ultimate goal. Because, like I said, the hypo clown is kind of the base to everything I'm wanting to do, and I'm already working the hypo G stripe clown triples for this year as well. Long term, I want to be able to be like, all right, I already got hypo G stripe clown and hypo clown pied. So I've also got the True Ghost clown. Now I can mix in that into both of those, and now I'm working quads. If I've got the albino stuff going, I can work that into both, and now I got quads. So like I'm trying to focus everything around having hypo clown into it, and then start merging those triples, 10, 15 years down the line when I can finally actually make something out of triple to triple head. But just the long-term goal, trying to think way in advance, because again, like I said, I want to expand in other species too. So I want to maximize what I have in the ball pythons. Even if I don't shoot for triples, these animals are going to be able to go different directions. They're going to be more versatile, females to hold back and stuff like that for the long run.
No, I agree with you. Let's go ahead and run another one of our sponsor videos here real quick. 1 second, folks. Make sure you check out Nathan at Infinite Possible Pythons. He is your guy to go to if you want to get into the Bang project. On top of it, he's working a bunch of awesome ball python projects. Kahua geckos, Leachianus geckos, crested geckos, some scaleless corn snakes, and he is your one-stop shop for all your branding needs. So check him out. Make sure you check out Chris at S Reptilia. If you're looking for a ball python, boa, colubrid, blood python, he is the guy to go to. He's also a rat breeder on the eastern side of PA, and he is Pennsylvania's distributor of Cocoa to Go and the Chipper, which is by far the best cocoa substrate on the market today. So make sure you go ahead and check him out. Seems like everybody's having a good conversation here about True Ghost and hypo and exantic and hypo and albino.
So I like true. I really like the True Ghost stuff, and that's going to be the first one that I'm really pursuing. I have the possibility of making visual doubles and possibly even double het exanthic stuff this year, depending on. I've got a pos het, depending on if she proves out or not. And I know I could shed test her, but just they're pairing anyway. If she wasn't, it's not going to change the pairing anyway. So, but yeah, I really like the True Ghost stuff. Personally, like you're talking DG, I'm not a big DG fan. I really don't like it that much. I'm one of those people that's hypo over DG. So a lot of the DG that I've seen, it fades out. And I know it keeps the blacks a little bit more, but like I've seen a lot of examples that they kind of get this washed out creamy color, and it just really doesn't. I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me. When the hypo, what's the best way? I think DGs look better as babies, but I think hypos look better as adults. I think hypos age better than DG does. Not saying the DG
Okay.
ages bad, but I think hypo ages truer. It doesn't kind of fade into that creaminess that DG does. It keeps its true color, keeps the contrast better, in my opinion.
I can see
Again,
why you would
it's
say
opinion.
that,
We all
dude.
have one.
So I've got a visual hype. I've got 2 visual hypos in the rack. And as dumb as it sounds, the single gene, just base model hypo, does look phenomenal. And she's all but ready to, rock and roll for breeding. And she is gorgeous. I'll give her that. I don't know. I think it's got its own place there too. I think
What do you mean, the hypo or the DG you're talking? Because I do like hypo DG. That's a combo that I do like. I think the two of them together work really well.
Well, see, that's one thing where we're gonna, because I've got the Exantic or double head Exantic DGs growing up. One, I actually just moved her up to the 50-20 rack because she's like just shy of 1,000 grams, and she's a baby from the beginning of 23 season. So we might be going for DG Exantics for next season.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No, I mean, it definitely. I mean, she just. I don't know why she grew as fast as she did, but I'm not going to argue with it. But that is going to be the next direction I take that project, though, is go and get hypo into it. I might even, I don't know if I'm going to take hypo into it right away or take clown into it and go for the DG Exantic clown. Might go the hypo route, though, just for it. I don't think anybody's really done the triple visual of that one yet.
For which one? The Exantic DG hypo?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but that doesn't mean anything. Like I'm not, I don't spend all day on social media like some people do, and I'm not saying that as like an insult to anybody, but like I as I said in one of my last videos, I got to a point where I was spending too much time on it, so I like actively am not, focusing on what the newest thing made all the time is anymore because it gets depressing after a while.
Oh, it does. If you focus on it too much and you see so and so made this and they started around the same time as you. And it's like, God, it's like, I'm not at that point because you had a female not go or whatever. I get it. Mark here's on to something though. The white lace.
Nope, that's actually where I said I'm picking up an animal from Bob. I'm getting a lace yellow belly het clown, which it is just a het, but I'm looking to add lace into that because I want to work lace into the hypo clown stuff to start going hypo lace. And eventually the hypo white lace, because I personally like the way that the white lace is aged better than a DG. So like Justin did a video not too long ago where he was comparing them, and like I think the white laces with the little bit of I guess we wouldn't call it patterning, maybe tipping you'd call that, something like that. The little because like the scales on the edge of the white lace almost have like a black
little
tip.
outline to them.
Yeah, and I think it gives it more of I guess a contrast you could say, but like the way it ages, I like it. I think it looks a lot sharper than the DG, even though the DG is a little cleaner.
I agree with you. I think if I remember that video, and I do believe adult to adult, I was like, that white lace actually surprised the hell out of me that it would look that good.
Right.
Thing is, I mean, it's a toss up, but I think it's one of those things. Work it in and see how it does. See what it looks like. Maybe white lace won't look as good in one project as it does another. Who knows? It's just like anything. I mean, it's got to have a flaw somewhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, no gene is perfect. Honestly, wow. There's a few that are close, but no gene are perfect. It's hard to mess up hypo, just to be honest. It really is.
I have to say, hypo wasn't something I was planning on getting into. I'm glad I did get into it though. It has started to grow on me. What's up, Brandon?
Yeah, so yeah, he's saying too the Candy and Candino hypos. That's where I'd eventually wind up taking that project if I do wind up being able to produce them, is getting the candy stuff into it. But I don't have any candy stuff in the collection right now, so I'm starting albino and work the way over. It's kind of stupid. My wife was giving me crap because I got rid of all my albino and candy stuff, and then I was sitting there looking at it. I'm like, well, maybe I do want to go this route, and I still had some het stuff and wound up somebody local was trying to get rid of a big albino girl, so it's like, okay, might as well make the pairing and go that route anyway.
Hey, I've noticed, I've seen a lot of people doing pivot moves and just slight changes of direction. I mean, God, I'm going through a slight change of direction with my Exantic stuff. I mean, I still have my vision. I just had to make a slight pivot. no big deal.
Well, like I said, in the beginning, I was like, you know what? I want to make pieds. I want to make clowns. I want to make ultramills. I want to make hypos. And you're doing that whole like snake ADD thing. And by the time I was a year in, I was like, all right, I got to focus. Then I identified the True Ghost G-Stripe clown where I wanted to go. And then I'm sitting on like a quad project with honestly, the funds that I had to invest just wasn't going to work very well. It's going to be something like I'm going to just spend 15 years making this and get nowhere because I'm going to be starting out from doubles and stuff anyway. So I might as well just, go back down to a double project. So I shifted my clown stuff, which I was going towards Xanthic, over to the hypo clown stuff instead. And I got and I'm in the hypo G stripe as well. So like, I'm already in those two doubles, start working that way. Like I said, add the pied in next year, and those will be the two baselines. And then what can I add into each of those to try to make them different than what's been made?
No, you said G stripe. Now, do you like the tri-stripe over G, or do you like G stripe over tri-stripe, or what's your thoughts on that one? Because I've seen some tri-stripe stuff that really dropped my jaw, and maybe really start thinking, because I thought the G stripe was looking really neat and some stuff. Then I saw tri-stripe. I'm like, oh,
I like tri-stripe better than G stripe as a single recessive project.
Okay.
I've only seen one example of it combined with clown that I can remember, and I didn't quite like that. And I haven't seen anything. I've been told it's been put into pied, but I haven't seen it. But I have a feeling that tri-stripe is going to have the same issue G-stripe does, where it either overpowers or completely gets muted by stuff. And from the couple of recessive combos that I've seen, I like the G-stripe better in combos.
Okay.
And so, like, I've made the statement before that I'm a whore for a good dorsal stripe. And, and it's part of the reason, like, when I first started getting into clowns, I like the really reduced clowns with the, really defined dorsal stripe. And that's what I like about the G stripes too. The tri-stripes have it as well, but the tri-stripes, I don't know, some of them have like the pattern within the dorsal stripe, and I don't like it as much as just the solid stripe that like a good clean G stripe, or even like something like a super stripe would have. So I like both. Honestly, if I didn't already have G stripe stuff, I probably would have gone tri-stripe first, just because I think some of the single recessive stuff looks a lot better. It seems to respond to other codominant genes mixing into it better. But I think for like long-term project stuff, I like the G stripe better.
Okay, awesome. I know I saw it was the thing that caught my eye with it was an Xanthic tri-stripe.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I think a lot of the tri-stripes, like the hypo tri-stripe stuff, looked really good. I think I've seen a DG tri-stripe, if I remember correctly, which again, DG is just cleaning it up.
Yeah.
Not seen in person, but seen pictures of, I should say.
Yeah. I think I saw the Xanthic tri-stripe was on Morph Market, if I'm not mistaken.
But my opinion on tri-stripe is the same as my opinion on puzzle. It's a nice gene. I like it. But in the case of tri-stripe, I already have G-stripe. And in the case of puzzle, I already have Krypton. So they're similar enough that I'm not going to double up, if that makes sense. It's just...
That makes total sense to me. Mark here. Mark, I said I'm making a pivot. I'm not jumping off the bridge, dude.
Hey, man, you need to. VPI is the way to go.
That's the word on the street. I don't know if I can get behind that one, though. I think I'm a little too deep into TSK no matter what.
They all have their good examples and their bad examples, man. It's just pick one and go with it. I just like to rag on people for the hell of ragging on people.
Oh, dude, you would love
the Xanthic war.
You should see the shit that I take in our group chat. Like, it's amazing I even love my friends anymore. That's all I gotta say.
No, to be 100% honest, if I was to be starting from scratch with Xanthic, I probably would have gone TSK. But the only reason I did go VPI is because in collecting other animals, I wound up picking up a few that were het VPI, and I already had it in the collection. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to work with it, I might as well work with what I have. Yeah. Like, there's no point in having an animal that I'm not going to use to its fullest, and there's no point in bringing in a different line of something that I already have. So, when it started coming to the Xanthic stuff, it was already in the collection unintentionally from other animals, so I just stuck with it.
No, and that makes sense. I've heard more people use that as their reason than anything. That it was something that was, you know, a het with another animal that they bought, so they just kept going with it.
Yeah.
Mark, I will say this though, Mark, I do have something here that is possible het VPI exanthic, so there is that. But the likelihood of me going and, you know, following the VPI route, highly not likely, bro. Highly not likely.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to start mixing stuff up because I know me. I'd be like trying to figure out, wait, which animal was this? You know.
Yep. And that's exactly what I would freaking do. I know I would just, there would be an oopsies and it'd be like, shit,
Yep.
which one are you? Oh man. I know we just ran one. Let's run it because we're getting a little low on time. I want to make sure we get these sponsor ads out. I'm gonna run the one of the other ones here real quick, folks.
Can't find that missing piece of your breeding project? Hit up Triforce Morphs. They've been in the industry for 10 years and counting. They're working heavily with clown pieds, hypo clowns, hypopides, along with lace, citron, and the Matter project. Can't let out the fact that they have crested geckos as well. Trust, respect, and integrity. That's the Triforce way. Are you ready to take it to the next level? Then check out DTMG Pythons. Danny is best known for his awesome clown ball python projects. This year's focus is Confusion, Hurricane, and Disco Inferno clowns. He also specializes in high-end crested gecko morphs such as Exantic, Lily White, and Exantic Lily Whites, along with the Deadpool line of gargoyle geckos. Check out his morph market and Instagram, DTMG Pythons. Just buy it.
The Acoustic Cat says they got 2 ball pythons currently locked up. Congrats.
Yeah.
I don't have anything pairing this week. I've got a girl that's due, like she's legit. I sent a picture of her into my group chat. Like she's due to lay tomorrow, and I do believe she's going to make the due date. She just looks like she's very pyramidal. Like she's got that pyramid going on, and the bulge is all the way to the back now. So I think she's going to rock and roll tonight. Phil says it's sync P break.
Hey, do what you got to do, right?
I was going to say, everybody, if you want to know what that's about, go check out the live auction with DTMG Pythons. It will all make perfect sense to you by the end of that live.
It makes sense just reading it. I mean, I don't know how else you can interpret that.
Yeah, well, it does, but seeing is believing. Seeing is believing. It's kind of like Santa Claus. Oh, man. All right. So, got a few more things I want to cover here, Jim.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've learned in your 3 years of breeding ball pythons? Like, I know I've learned a bunch. What are some of the things that, for anybody that's thinking of getting into breeding maybe, or that's just started, what are some of the things that you've learned that might maybe help ease some of their suffering or hardships?
Have a plan. When you think you have a plan, have a better plan. Be ready for that plan to fail. Have a third plan. Really just think ahead and prepare for the worst. You know, figure out what to do. You know, when you have issues getting feeders, figure out what to do. You know, when you're starting to pair, make sure you have somewhere to keep the animals. Make sure you have an incubator ready to go, you know, as soon as you start pairing, because you might miss an ovulation. You might, you know, just suddenly have eggs on the ground there. And the biggest one we learned our first year is, you know, stuff don't always go right. You know, you got to be ready to deal with anything that, you know, animals that won't eat, animals that come out kinked, non-viable babies. It's a reality of it. And I've talked to a few people that, you know, they tried breeding one season, they had issues with that, and that was enough to get, you know, for them to get out because they couldn't deal with it, and you know, just personally, and it's just, you got to realize it's nature. So, you know, shit happens.
It does, and that's one thing. Like this, up until last year, everything has been smooth sailing here. Now 23 season, I had a clutch basically slug out, and the 2 remaining eggs, like I was telling you, Jim, the 2 eggs that did survive. One baby was okay, and the other one it was fused in the middle of its body, so you just had a neck and head going one direction and a tail going the other. everything else was all fused together. I mean, it was rough to see, but it's kind of it's that harsh reality that you've got to take into, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. That's
and
I think a lot of people don't show it, and a lot of people, I think, getting into it think it is all sunshine and rainbows.
No, we had a clutch in our first year that was it was a black pastel clutch, and I know some of the black pastel stuff has kinking in general. It's usually with the super. In this case, there wasn't a super involved, but like I said, it was a 10 egg clutch. We had 2 of them that came out non-viable out of the egg, another one that was literally basically a pretzel with a head on it, and we had another egg that went bad in incubation. So got the whole gambit right there. And I don't know if I don't think that was an incubation error, because none of the other clutches that were in the incubator at the same time had any issues. That girl that was involved in that had an RI right around the time that she had ovulated. She was being treated for an RI, and I think that probably had something to do with the issue with the babies. I don't know if given her the antibiotics had any sort of effect on the development or anything like that, but like you said, it happens. And like I said, have a plan. The plan will fail. You will make mistakes. Nothing's gonna, no plan meets the enemy unscathed. I think is a way to sum it up. And it's like, just be adaptable and have fun with it. Just if you're not having fun with it, it's just not worth doing, in my opinion. If you're going to be doing something, enjoy it.
Exactly. That I know, if you're not going to be happy with the babies you produce out of that pairing, don't do the pairing. Like, be prepared that you've got to hold on to these babies for an extended period of time, if not, for a very long time. If you don't, if you fail to move them.
And insert, handful of normals that I've got sitting in my rack that aren't going anywhere anytime soon because they're normals.
You know what though? And here's I was talking to some people earlier in the week. Normals will move. You just got to work a little bit harder, and you got to find that one person. You've got to. I've been able to move normals. I don't want to say easily.
I think it's the area too.
Work harder.
I think it's the area and where you're trying to sell them. Because so when we were in Virginia before we moved here, I could post anything up for sale locally, and it would move in a heartbeat. And then I'm not talking in the middle of COVID. I'm talking within this last year.
Yeah.
I would post something up and it would be gone. You and I were talking in the chat. I literally just made a Morph Market account. I just did within the past 24, 48 hours, and that's because I've never needed it. I'd be able to post stuff in local groups, even on Craigslist and stuff if I really wanted to, and stuff would move within 24, 48 hours when we were in Virginia. It wasn't until we moved here to the Chicagoland area where I can't move anything. So I don't know if it's just a local area or what, but I could put up a normal over there and it'll move. Over here, I've had the same animals that I had when we moved here in July are still in my racks right now. I haven't moved a single one.
Oh wow!
And that's just from I'll be honest, I haven't been super aggressively marketing them, but I have been posting them up locally, and just nothing's been moving. So,
as I say, I think I don't know. It's weird. It's like I was saying in the group chat the other day. You can take a snake to a show 5 times. Snake doesn't get any attention. Nobody really looks at it. Take it to that show that 6th time, it's gone.
Yep.
There's no rhyme or reason. It's just waiting for that one right person to see that animal. And I think a lot of it's getting their attention and getting them to stop at your table if you're especially vending.
Yeah.
If you can get them to stop and take a look, a lot of times you can, feel them out and see if you have something that's fits with what they're looking for anyway. And a lot of times those normals are great first pets for people just getting in. Or somebody
I agree. I agree with that. But then again, it's where you got to be where people are looking for that first snake. And that's what it comes down to. A lot of these shows, at least the ones that I've gone to, I've been told there's a really good one around here that's really good for a lot of pet grade stuff that I haven't had the chance to check out yet. And I'm going to try to go. There's one in a week or two that they run it every month. I'm going to try to run up there just to kind of scope it out before trying to vend there or anything like that. But I'm hoping to be able to. maybe start vending in there. It's called the Scott Smith Expo. It's like an all animal expo. It's not just reptiles, but it's a lot of reptile stuff there. But yeah, I think it is, like you said, just getting it in front of the right people. And like a lot of the stuff that I have coming out of 23, like I said several times now, 23 sucked for me. Like the vast majority of my pairings didn't go. We wound up moving cross country in the middle of the season, and I think that caused a lot of my girls to just either reabsorb or quit right there. You know, we moved in the prime of that breeding season. We started moving in April, completed the move by July, so we were kind of all over the place.
Now, how many girls? Because that was actually one of the things I wanted to talk about too. So it's actually funny and ironic. Damn, you're good at this, Jim. I tell you what, man.
Not trying to.
So what? Like, walk us through like how you dealt with all that, because I mean, obviously, moving in the middle of breeding season is a crap situation to be thrown into. So, like, what were you doing to try to prevent all that stuff, and in hopes that at least you could salvage your breeding season?
Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot that we could really do, because so the situation we were in, I was just medically retired. So it wasn't, we didn't have a date. We didn't have like hey, this is when you're getting out. It was, I got submitted for the medical evaluation process. And then I basically sat in limbo for like the better part of a year and a half of the Navy being like, we don't know if we're keeping you. We don't know if we're getting rid of you. We don't know anything. And so like, we got to a point where like, come like the beginning of 23, where we're sitting there like, hey, our lease on the townhome we were renting was about to expire. And so we're just like, all right, we know chances are I was probably getting separated, just because I have an autoimmune condition called Sjogren's syndrome, which that started the whole medical separation process, because it's a disqualifying condition. It messes with my eyes. They basically, the job that I was doing, I was a navigator on, if you know what an LCAC is, it's like a Navy hovercraft.
Okay.
So my eyes being an issue basically became a safety factor, and they're like, you can't do your job with an eye issue. So, once the evaluation started, I lost my flight status, and I kind of assumed that I was getting out. And we just kind of decided, hey, we're going to start looking for, what's next. And worst case scenario, if I was in, my family was going to move and I'd eventually join them. So we wanted to, get in a house up here in Illinois, where I'm from, with no timeline. So like we bought the house having no idea when I'd actually be getting out. And it was kind of just like a slow process of moving stuff. We made like 6 or 7 trips running back and forth with, U-Hauls and stuff, moving stuff. As far as like the animals, when we finally did move them, we made one run for just like all the animals, and everything got put into, small sterilite totes or bags and into a box and got moved together that way. And we, broke down the racks and enclosures and moved all that together. But like it's a, including stops and stuff like that, it's 14 to 16-hour drive from Hampton Roads to where we're at here. So like we one-shotted that with all the animals, but the main issue we had was moving the incubator with eggs in it. So like I had, we talked a bit about how we were going to do that, and the way we ultimately decided to do it is not the way that I would recommend doing it again in the future. But we wound up renting a truck that had a power inverter built into it. So as long as the truck was running, it was putting out what we needed to be able to plug the incubator into. And so I basically, I've got a smaller Sea Serpent's hot box incubator, and we literally strapped that to the passenger seat of this U-Haul and plugged it into the inverter, which was, underneath the dashboard. And plugged the thermostat for it into the inverter there. And this stuff was like zipped, like everything inside of it was like zip tied in. This thing was seat belted and strapped to the seat. It was really ghetto looking, but we ran it. We just kept the U-Haul running the whole time. Future reference, nobody do that. That was a bad idea. It made it. We didn't lose anything. All eggs made it. Everything hatched. Came out good, but it was a very stressful move. As far as the girls themselves, as far as what we were doing to try to, keep clutches on track, we were running back and forth so much from Virginia to Illinois, and we were gone for like a week and a half, 2 weeks at a time. Feeding got erratic. I think that was a big issue with it. I couldn't ramp up feeding when I needed to, and it just kind of, I knew once we started running around that it wasn't going to be a good season as far as like the number of clutches went. But it is what it is. Now we're in a better spot moving into 2024. Cool. But
I see that's the big thing too, where like I've heard several people that have done moves here recently, like Adam from Proper Royals did a big move.
Yep.
Jeremy and Holly from Snakes for the Memories did a big move. And I think it's important for people to hear that, it's not unheard of. It happens a lot. And, don't get discouraged, because chances are it is, especially if you're breeding all year long, or if that move falls during breeding season, you've got to be ready to it's going to be a hit. And I think a lot of people need to hear, and, it helps make them a little bit more accepting. Okay, I'm not the only one that it's happened to, type of deal. Yeah.
So like everything made it, and we didn't lose any animals. We didn't have any issues with that, during the move. We took a U-Haul, and then my wife was also driving our Jeep, and we had all the animals in the Jeep because we could better control the climate in that than in the U-Haul. And, it's also a smoother ride and stuff like that. And it wasn't hard. It just screws everything up. It screws up the tempo. Once we got up here, getting everything set up, it just stresses the animals out. They're in an unfamiliar environment, off their substrate, off their heat, all that type of stuff for, a good day or two. And then when you get up here, you get them all set back up. The barometric pressure is different up here. The temperatures are different up here. The humidity is different up here. It just throws everything off. I remember, you listen to somebody, I forgot who it was. Somebody on one of the podcasts a while back, they like in the middle of their season, they just simple as move their stuff from in their house to the shed that they had set up out back, and in the middle of the breeding season, and that was enough to just stress out the girls. And it's just like,
I think I remember
little stuff like that. I don't remember who it was. I remember somebody was talking about that on a podcast not too long ago, and that they wound up losing a whole bunch of girls that were getting close to ovulation, and they reabsorbed just because they didn't have to move them than they did. I just seem to remember somebody talking about that, but like I've heard of that a lot, and we experienced that. I paired a total of 13 last season, and we only had 4 go. So,
okay,
it really didn't work out that well. And like I said, none of my clown stuff went, none of my Krypton stuff went. It was all of my G-stripe clutches went, and G-stripe's not as easy to move. So like everything I got up now is just like het G-stripe stuff. So.
Okay.
If anybody's looking for head G-stripe stuff,
there you go, guys. There you go. You know who to hit up. Let's run this last sponsor ad real quick, and then we'll finish this off here and let you have the rest of your evening.
Lucas Landon Royals produces some truly high caliber snakes. Kai has been breeding ball pythons for 6 seasons and counting. He's working toward multi-recessive combos such as DG Clown, Hypo Clown Pied, Sunset Candy Pied, and DG Exantic Pied. He's working with several other species of snakes, but next year he's going to start breeding Boa Imperators, and he also has a small group of super dwarf retics. So be on the lookout for some super dwarf cow retics. Become a royal at Lucas Landon Royals. If you want to use the best reptile record keeping and tracking software on the market today, scan the QR code or click our partnership link in the description down below for a free 30-day trial of Husbandry Pro. I promise you will not regret it.
Everybody, go give Husbandry Pro a shot, please. It's so freaking, I love that software. Do you use that Husbandry yet?
I did the 30-day free trial of it, and then I did nothing with it. Like I signed up for it, and then I just sat on it, and I didn't upload anything on it. And no, honestly, I use Google Sheets for everything. Like I've got all my spreadsheets set up and stuff like that. I'm a spreadsheet junkie, and it's just easy for me. All my planning's in there, all my clutches and pairings and all that type of stuff's tracked in there. Honestly, I stopped tracking feeding.
Okay.
I was doing it for a long time, and I just maybe I'm just one of those people that has the type of memory, but I can just look at the whole collection and be like, you eat, you don't. It's been a while since you have, and just kind of a good idea.
I can't
And
remember that.
yeah,
I don't even have that many yet. I mean, guess I've got like 80, around 80 or 90 or so, but
yeah,
I can't do
not,
that.
and not counting hatchlings, I got about 30, and for the balls,
Okay.
but plus whatever else we got down there.
Everybody, if you guys have any questions for Jim, feel free to ask, because I've got one more question for this gentleman. So if you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments, please.
Yeah. I'm on my phone, so I can't see the comments, by the way. Just letting you know.
I'll flash them up there for
Yeah.
you. My last question for you, Jim, is what genetics really excite you, and what you want to add in the near future?
That's a good one. Because, are you talking like codom, or are you talking recessive, or what are you asking about? Just in general?
Just in general, yeah. Either or. It can be. You can go over both if you want.
I want to get confusion into some of my stuff. I kind of feel like the reason when I was looking at the lace stuff that I'm getting from Bob, I was looking at confusion and lace, and I went with lace because I think confusion is a little chasey, going down the same route that a lot of other people started going down, and I know lace is kind of that way too. But it's the only reason I really haven't gotten into that yet, because a lot of people started doing it a year or two ago. Okay. And like I said earlier, I'm trying to go a different route, but I really do like confusion. I'd like to get it into a lot of my projects, since it goes really well in clown. Excited about, though, I don't know. It's hard to answer, because like I said, I'm trying to figure out where I want to go. I really like the freeway and highway stuff, and I know that it has been made in clown, but I've got a lot of yellow belly stuff in the clown already. I'd like to get some gravel or asphalt in there to see if I can push that project a little bit more, especially adding in like the hypo and the exanthic type stuff. Because
yes,
saw that, what was it? Exanthic, was it super gravel or super asphalt that the other day, and like again push all that stuff into clown.
Ooh, dude, I saw the exanthic freeway and my jaw dropped. Now I'll tell you what, a combo that I really shocked me with how good it did look in exanthic. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but GHI Mojave exanthic. Yeah,
that one doesn't surprise me though. Yeah, and I agree. I like that one, but that one really didn't surprise me too much, just because of the GHI Mojave in general is already a very monochrome snake. But man, I just had a thought, and my daughter walked up and handed me something. I just lost that train of thought already.
You gotta love kids.
Talking about like non-recessive though, but going into like allelic projects. One that I'm really on the fence on working with, because I have a lot of stuff that I can already just jump right into it with, is the campfire stuff. So like one of when I started working with the G stripe stuff, the thing that actually really drew me to the G stripe, Garrick DeMeyer a couple years ago made a banana cinnamon Enshi genetic stripe, and that thing's like road cone orange. Like it is it's like road cone orange with like a yellow stripe down its back, and that's what actually wound up getting me to start research the cinnamon Enshi combo, get the banana in there, and you add calico to that, and you start getting some really really cool looking pet quality animals. And I know everyone chases the high end, but personally, I want to be able to offer from the person, getting their first snake all the way up to somebody trying to breed. And like, that's something that I've been toying with, keeping a small group of animals just to play with that. Cause I've already got a lot of cinnamon Enshi, super Enshi, banana cinnamon Enshi type stuff in my collection. And that would be something that I think has a lot of potential, to start making these like really bright, high quality pet grade animals. Because I don't know, again, I'm a smaller name. I don't expect people to be coming to me for like higher end visual stuff. Not that I make all that much of it to begin with, but I found that I moved that like $300 to $500 price point really well. The first season and a half where I was actually selling a lot of stuff, that was the price range that moved fast, and that's the type of range that I think those animals can fit into really well. And I've heard a few people talk like, it's just about finding the right genes to put into like, say, those banana combos, which again, that banana cinnamon Enshi, those are those really bright orange and, purples that you get out of the banana. Start adding the calico to, make the banana campfires and whatnot. And I think there's a lot of potential in that project. And to be honest, I think that, it helps to work with those non-recessives too, because one day they're going to come back. One day people are going to realize that, an allelic combination is just as hard to make as a recessive combination is. And just from the perspective of genetics. And
the other thing,
the recessive market will eventually come back around.
The other thing I think people need to realize and remember is, all right, if your focus is putting animals on morph market, high end, as far as you can take it, you know what I mean? But if you're going to shows, at least a lot of the shows that I go to, I mean, I'm not talking your Tinley or your Daytonas, your normal
local shows.
Your normal local average shows. I've noticed like people, asking and talking to me with me about the animals I have on my table. I say that it's het this or het that. That het means not a damn thing to them.
Not at all.
Like
not at all.
It just, if they can't visually see it, it doesn't matter. It may as well not be there. So I think that's where like you've got to gauge what you're trying. What's your audience? Are you a breeder? Or are you a breeder's breeder? Are you going to do a little bit of both? Or are you trying to, are you working up to getting to be that breeder's breeder or that little bit of both? But right now, your bread and butter is the pet, the pet end of it. And I know that, there's multiple ways to look at it. I like to have, like you said, a little bit of everything for everybody. I mean, I don't have the high end shit, I'm working towards getting to be producing that stuff. But my bread and butter has been that $500 and below. That's been what moves for me really easy.
Right. And that's what I've seen too.
Easy, but that's what moves. And at shows I've noticed, and I've had multiple conversations, with Nathan and a few other people, they notice the same thing too. That 500, maybe even 400 is even more of that honing in on that sweet spot. But that 400 to 500 and below is what moves very reliably at a show.
Yeah, and like at one point in time, I was sitting there toying with the idea of like having a small group together to make bells, a small group to make like the freeway combos, a small group to make the the campfire type stuff, and kind of have them as like the idea of it being sustainability clutches to be able to go to those small shows and offer those nice animals. But like the more I started thinking about it and wanting to stay smaller, seeing as I'm going to be working with a lot of triple quad het type stuff, like I'm going to have a lot of byproduct, and I don't want to just add to that. And that's kind of where I'm sitting on that argument right now. But like I said, with the amount of stuff I have that I could work some campfire stuff, it is kind of tempting to go that route just to see what can be done.
And that's like, for like this year, I'm going to have a lot of byproduct from what I'm doing, but I'm also, like I've still got my one banana clutch. Actually, I might have two banana clutches this year, but the banana stuff normally moves pretty easy. The bell stuff normally moves easy. I don't know if I'm going to have a bell clutch this year or not. Like that bell clutch last year flopped. And when I threw her up on the ultrasound, she doesn't have a star on her, so I don't even know if she's going to go for me this year.
Yeah, I won't have anything bell related this year. I'm going to have so many bananas this year. It's not even going to be funny. I'm going to be just flooded with bananas. The main male that I'm using is a banana black pastel hypo clown. So like, and he's a male maker. So I mean, at least the males are going to be the bananas. But like, I'm going to have so many bananas.
Well, I know the banana male I picked up this year from John and Christine there at Triforce. I am so excited to get him pairing next season. Oh, because like that'll be my introduction to getting banana into my clown stuff, but it also lets me work Citron into my other projects as well. It's just gonna I'm really, really excited to actually take that plunge with him.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like I think you've got, personally for me, having some of that bread and butter, the 500 and below snakes, it keeps you going to shows. It keeps you relevant. It keeps you in the people's, like visually people are seeing you. It's getting your name out there. They're recognizing you, recognizing the brand. It doesn't hurt. It's hey, take those $1,000 animals. You might move a $1,000 animal at a normal show. You never know.
Yeah.
You might come across that one person that's really into it. They want to make those big investments, whatever. But I think going to the shows with the expectation of, hey, this is the reality of where I need to be. It kind of, I've seen it happen a few shows now where, that 500 and below moves, the 500 and up, not so much.
Yeah, and to be honest, like I said, I'm technically military retired, so this, no matter what, is going to be like a secondary income to me. So like, if it doesn't blow up, it doesn't blow up. If I never make high end stuff, I never make high end stuff. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the animals. So I'm just gonna play with it and see what I can do.
Yeah.
But talking about the 500 and under animals, and I know you agree with me on this. Is the only reason I'm going to say it. To all you spider haters out there, you can all buzz off because those things move well at shows. And I'm not saying that as personally like, oh, breed spiders for cash, but like every spider I've ever made sells like immediately. And you see people carrying around in shows all the time. And it's just like, another, you talk about those pet quality animals and the stuff that moves and the stuff that draws people into the industry, new keepers. Spider does that well.
It does. And this is what baffles me. All right. I had 2 spiders that were 66% double head, Exantic clown. The one even had a paradox. I had blotches of Exantic in it. They finally moved 2 shows ago. And I took them to like 4 shows and nobody really paid much attention to them. But that one show, it's like all my spider stuff went. I was left with one bumblebee that was head Exantic, 50% head clown. And this last show, he finally moved. It's just like, man, if trying to figure out when they're going to move. But like you said, a lot of the times the spider stuff does move.
We've only vended 2 shows so far, and both shows, anything I took that had spider on it was the first thing that moved.
Okay.
So I that's just my experience with it. And I don't have a lot of spider. I'm not one of those people that has like spider and everything. I have 2 animals with spider in my collection. And it's just something I've noticed. For as much as people rag on it, like it moves. People like it.
It's beautiful. Like, I know it gets hate and people say, oh, if it didn't have spider in it, I'd want it or whatever. Yes, there are some snakes that have issues. There are. And there's no hiding that. My stuff, it has been fairly solid.
I don't see the wobble in. I have 2 in my collection right now. I've owned a total of 4, and I haven't seen any of the wobble traits, with the exception of one that kind of had a slight tilt to the head, but nothing that like displayed other than that. She would just sometimes have a slightly tilted head. Now, that said, again, I have seen some of the ones that have been kept poorly and, display pretty distinct wobble. So,
yeah.
Well, corkscrewing is what I've seen. So, I mean, I understand, but I think it's just how they're kept.
Oh, there are certain things that definitely do kind of make it, amplify, I guess is the better way to put it.
Right.
Brandon says he's got plenty of $500 and below stuff he's not moving if I want to sell it. Maybe we could talk at the show, Brandon. Maybe we can talk at Gettysburg. Maybe we take a look and see what you got, bro. Maybe we can do something. Bohemian Exotics, Carissa, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. Now, what was I going to say? Oh, the one I did notice this, though. I don't know if you've caught it, but it seems like there's been a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot of people, but there's been more press on people doing like the power balls, like the super spot nose stuff.
I've noticed that, and that goes back to that whole argument of like, what about the rest of the wobble complex? We focus on spider, but what about the rest of them? And I have not had experience with a lot of the other ones as far as like the supers. Like I recently had a spot nose that I sold. It was not in my clown project. Like I said, I don't have it in the clown stuff, but I had a spot nose head sunset that I moved that had no wobble issues, and I think blackhead's in that complex, right? I've got blackhead that doesn't have any wobble, and chocolate I think is in that complex. A bunch of the ones that like I haven't seen any wobble issues with, but I've read that they have issues with the supers. And nobody talks about that. And again, nobody has an issue with champagne, and then champagne has the same wobble issues the spider does. So I don't know. That's a whole conversation that can be, you can deep dive into. But
Oh, you could. And I just thought it was funny because like I think it was Justin there at Canova. I think he posted something up
He has
about
spiders.
them.
He said in a recent interview that he keeps spiders.
Yeah. But I think he produced some Powerball clown stuff here, if I'm not mistaken, recently. Beautiful stuff. No denying it. But
Right.
it's funny though that no one jumps on that. Well, it's got the wobble. Like everyone completely ignores that, even though some of the worst wobbling snakes I've ever seen were Powerball combos and Powerballs in general.
I've only seen pictures of Powerballs. I don't think I've seen one in person, so I can't really speak to their wobble.
The few that I have seen, and maybe I've just had the luck of finding those few that were absolutely wigging out beyond belief, but they very much, showed off that whole we don't know what end is up type of deal.
Yeah.
Jessica says Justin doesn't have spiders. Ozzy has spiders. Ozzy produced a freaking killer.
Didn't Miguel just do a video where he was walking through Justin's stuff and he was the one that pointed out that Justin had spiders? I could be completely delusional on this, but I could have sworn he did. But yeah, I know Ozzy has spiders. Ozzy's mentioned that too in a podcast not too long ago.
Ozzy, when he produced that DG Bumblebee, the Exantic DG Bumblebee, that thing dropped my freaking jaw. I was like, if that can't bring Spider back from a remote grave, nothing will, because that thing was gorgeous. Yeah, I don't know. I do know. I could ask. I do know somebody that's been over to Justin's place. I could ask him and see. Just now, I'm curious because either that or watch Miguel's video. I mean, let's face it. Spider once was a $10,000 snake or above. It had its time to shine, and it took one person to ruin it, basically.
Right. And well, that's actually what I was just about to say. It was like one or two videos that got posted just ragging on it that started that downward spiral, and going back to that whole, well, what about the other wobble complex animals? Why is spider being, villainized when we have other ones that do very similar things? So probably just because spider is the most popular of them, or the most common of them, or at least it was at the time.
Well, it was, but then I also go back to the whole, let's think about what genes are very valuable in other combos yet. I mean, spot nose is basically a necessity with clown.
Right.
So that's probably where spot nose gets its pass, would be my guess. Chocolate, I feel that's still fairly new and it's still a hot commodity. So that's probably why that still gets a pass.
Yeah, I think Sable's in that complex, but I don't really know anybody who works with it. Although I have been told that the Super Sable has a really bad wobble issue.
Okay. Yeah, see, that I wouldn't know. I don't know. Actually, I have heard something about Sables having a wobble, or Super Sables maybe. But
I've been told the Super Sable does. I don't know if the regular Sable does or not. I don't have any of it, so
yeah, I can't really speak on it as one way or the other because I really don't have any of it, and I don't know if I've ever seen or really noticed any of them. But like the Super Spot, the Powerballs, I have seen some of them pretty gnarly as far as the wobble goes.
But circling back though to what your original question was about genes being, excited about genes. Now I'm actually thinking about it. The one actually does come to mind, and that's that mimic gene. I'm really curious to see what other genes will do in combination with it in the future, just because it changes so drastically. I'm curious to how it's going to interact with a lot of stuff.
Now, elaborate on the mimic, because I'm not going to lie, I have never looked it up. I've never seen it.
So I saw it in person at the last Tinley. Yeah, it just goes through a drastic change. Like at one point, it looks, if I remember correctly, it looks almost Exanthic. At one point, it looks almost Ultramelish. At one point, it looks kind of like Banana-ish. Like it shifts, and thus the name Mimic. And like as it ages, it actually, like its whole color palette changes. So I saw it in Tinley just this past show, and like he had a couple different like just different aged examples there, and they are drastically different. And like it really it goes from I don't remember which direction it goes like in color changes, but it's I want to say like it looks like it would be some kind of maybe a T plus albino, but I'm not genetically knowledgeable enough to speak about that. I'm a nerd when it comes to like electronics and techie stuff. I'm not somebody who really speaks the genetic end of it, but like it's something that it changes so much. It's really all I can say. Like look it up. I've seen a couple of videos, a video or two on it. There's a lot of pictures out there on it already, just of like how it ages, and because of its drastic color change, I'm curious to how it'll interact with other, like primarily color changing morphs. Like say, what happens when you put Mimic with Ultramel? What happens if you put Mimic with DG or with Hypo or with something that's going to change the way its color presents? Because like, is it going to open up yet another, path in the color palette? Is it going to, freeze the color change at some point in time? You know what I mean? Like, what is it going to do? It's just so different in how it ages. I'm curious to see what it'll do. I'm not in it. I don't plan to be in it. I don't have the money to get into a project like that. But just talking about like something that's excited that I'm really looking forward to seeing what somebody does with it. Mimic is one that I'm watching.
Okay. Awesome.
And I kind of forgot about it when you mentioned it earlier. And then I was starting to think of trying to think of stuff that I've seen lately that's really caught my eye, and the Mimic was one of them.
Okay. What recessive or gene would you like to add to your collection within, say, the next year or two?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm planning on adding Pied, but that's not really anything crazy. Just because I don't have it in the collection right now, and I do want to get it. I do want it to get into the Hypo Clown stuff to be able to work Hypo Clown Pied, but outside of that, I really don't know. Like long term, my goal is for my entire collection to be Hypo Clown plus insert other recessive here. So like I'd like to get in really as much as I can. Ultramel. Probably, even though I'm not a huge DG fan, eventually get the DG in there to do the DG Hypo Clown. Stuff like that. But as far as the near future, really, other than adding Pied next year, I'm not really planning on doing a whole lot of big additions to the ball python side, because I want to expand into the other species. Yeah. I'm like I said, this year is really a building year for me. I'm trying to produce a whole lot of stuff for the future, and then I'm going to start growing it out. I have no intention of making pairings next year just for the hell of making snakes. Like if it doesn't produce something that's going to grow my collection or be something that I want to hold back, I'm not going to pair it. So like, even though I'm doing, 15, 16 pairings this year, next year I might only do 5 or 6, just to not flood the market with random stuff that nobody wants or that nobody needs. If I don't see a purpose of it, I'm not going to do it. And instead, over the next year or two, I'm going to, like I said before, I want to get into short tails. I want to get into carpets. Most of my purchasing is going to go to expanding into some other species.
See, I think that's a smart plan though, dude. I really do. Brandon said my monsoon spider double het monsoon DG out here looking like Stevie Wonder. Every other spider I have / had acts completely fine. And Chris says that their single gene spot nose is a corkscrewing mother, and their spiders act like there's nothing wrong. And my spiders act nothing like that. So, yeah, I mean, it just, I don't get it. I wish it didn't get the hate because they are beautiful. I mean, I love them. It's one thing that I've noted, like, I've got 1, 2, 3.
Well, you work the Exanthic stuff, and to be honest with you, like the spider works amazing with the Exanthic. So like, if somebody's having an Exanthic and they don't have spider, I don't understand why not. But I would have a lot more of them if it wasn't so. I don't want to say look down upon, but like if it wasn't such a dominant trait. Anytime I've ever made a spider pairing so far, like 2/3, it's one of those genes that like everything gets it. You can't pair spider to something and just be like, oh, you get that 50-50. No, you wind up with like 2/3 plus of the clutch being spiders, and I only keep it on the female side just to be able to control it. Right now, I've got 2 of them. Go from there, but You know, I also have a clown, or one of my clown girls is like the evil, has every gene that nobody wants in clown in it, but it's still, you know, it's a pastel spider blade and she clown. So it's like as reduced as you can possibly make it. I think it's a really cool looking clown. Kind of looks like it's got battle scars on its face the way its head stamp works, but like every gene that somebody does not want in clown, I've got it in one. So
well, man, I tell you what, I mean, that's the thing. Like, well, some people think doesn't work well in something, somebody else thinks it does work. That's I don't know. I like Enchi and Clown. I think Enchi and Clown's awesome. I think you put pastel with it, it makes it look even better because it brings out those colors more.
Yeah.
But there again, you run into pastel and Clown. Nobody likes pastel with Clown. I don't know.
See, like, and I like blade clowns. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people hate the blade. I like blade and clown. That's just me. I like blade in general. I've got a personal love for the blade gene that I think most people don't, and I wish more people would work with it. I think it's like, I view it almost like as a dark Enchi because it pattern reduces, it bands, it does change the color a little bit, not to the extremity that Enchi does, but it's clean. It's a really, really clean gene. So like, with how everybody's pushing for these cleaner animals, I don't understand why somebody going the dark path wouldn't look at something like Blade just to clean it up and reduce pattern and stuff like that. So I don't know.
That might be one thing where nobody's done it.
Some people have. I've seen it mixed into Xanthic. I've seen it mixed into Ultramel. I haven't seen a lot of like people just messing with, non-recessive combos with it. Okay. But no, I agree. Not a lot of people have. And I've got a good bit of it in my stuff just because I like it. And it's in clown. It's pretty commonly found in clown. So
I see. I've heard that's the one. It's a freebie.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know how to identify it too. A lot of people just look at, it's a reduced clown, like not being able to tell the difference between a reduced clown and a blade clown. And then when you look at a lot of like the the actual single gene blades, a lot of people can't tell it from a normal because it's one of those genes that like just kind of looks like a normal until you really start looking at it. It's not as drastically different. It just looks like a really, really clean normal with some banding on it. So
Jessica here says the video with the tour of the car garage, there's no spiders in that video. I'm sure he can poo in public. But keep them
Jessica, I could be wrong. I might be thinking of somebody else, but I thought Miguel was the one saying that Justin had them. And I very well might be thinking of Ozzy too. It's been a long day. I'm tired and I'm not that well caffeinated right now. So
it's that unwinding aspect.
Oh no, I just never sleep. I'm one of those people that's up till like 1-2 in the morning just existing.
See, normally that's me, but I actually got called into work tomorrow, so I've got to go be half with it.
I just have trouble getting to sleep. I don't know.
See, I'm a night owl, so I feel you.
Same, but yeah.
The autistic cat here says that's what I have: lesser pastel het clown male and pastel het clown female. She's still too young though. Okay. Nixon's Brandon here says Mojave spider double het.
Typo
while feeding and listening. Okay. But anyway,
typo dream. We got to see that one.
Yeah. Oh man, but anyway, that's gonna be it, folks. Jim, appreciate you coming on, dude. I
appreciate the invite, man. I really do.
Super glad you came on. Everybody, go make sure you check out Jim, and I will get the link for your Morph Market put into the description. It'll be tomorrow till I get it in there.
Dude, I only made it like a day or two ago, so I'm really not offended by it not being there. Trust me.
Dude, I was there. I was going through looking for him. Like, okay, I've had this happen before. I don't know why. Sometimes I can't find people's Morph Markets. Like, I don't get it.
I just hadn't signed up for anything but the free account, and like you messaged me, and we were sitting. I think we were eating dinner at the time or something. I looked at the edit, and I just looked at my wife. I'm like, Jeremy just called me on my shit. I gotta make a Morph Market now.
That bastard.
Right. But I've been meaning to do it anyway. So
That's one of those things you almost have to have it. But I'm glad I could be that motivation. Rob's right on that one. The Morph Market store search does suck. It really does.
Give me just a minute. We're almost done. Okay.
I don't know. It used to work. I thought it used to be decent the way it was, and something changed, and I don't know. Doesn't seem like it works as efficient. But everybody,
Search right now.
This week's video, I don't know what it's going to be. We'll have to see if this clutch drops tomorrow. It might be a clutch pulling. We'll have to see. If not, it's going to be another, a very recent video filming because, it's kind of, I'm trying to figure out what you guys want to see. So maybe drop me some comments in the actual comment section of this live. What's some content you would like to see? Give me some ideas, folks. Love to hear the feedback. Love all the support. Go and hit that like button, please. Make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already. Appreciate all the love and support. Like I said, go check out Jim. All the links are in the description. Morph Market will be there shortly. Check out our sponsors, please. Love all the sponsors. And also, at the end of all these recent videos, you'll see the channel members. Go show the channel members some love as well, please, because I appreciate all their support because it does mean the world to me. Everybody that is a member, I will be doing a live. I'm going to try to rope in a guest for this week's live, member live. I'm going to try to do that on Friday if it works for him because I've got Hudson's birthday on Saturday, so Saturday's a really screwed up day. Tara says carpets. Tara, I just did a carpet video, though. That's the thing. I don't want to give you guys too much carpet stuff. You get tired of it, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you guys are tired of ball pythons, though.
There's not enough carpet content out there, man. There's a lot. One thing I've noticed that I've been doing a lot of research on the other species is like ball pythons overwhelm the YouTube space. Like carpet content will probably do good. YouTube needs some more variety.
Maybe I'll have to do another carpet video then. Maybe the jury has spoken. Tara, put it in the comments though, like on the actual video, like in the actual comment, not the live chat, the actual comments after the video ends.
Gotta feed that algorithm.
Yeah, it'll help feed that algorithm, and then it'll also, I'll remember it. Not that it's hard to forget the carpets. I mean, you guys know that they're probably as much as I love the balls, the carpets are probably my favorite in this whole room. But definitely appreciate all the love and support, guys. Go click that affiliate link for Husbandry Pro. If you aren't using Husbandry Pro yet, free 30-day trial, give it a shot. And Julia says here, prayers for my mom tomorrow. What's going on, Julia, with your let's see, maybe did I miss something here? Whatever you have going on for your... Oh, she's having surgery. All right. I do wish her the best. I know we're still dealing with everything with my dad, and that's kind of why. Granted, the show started off a little bit me flustered, talking about snakes, and it's calling me down like it normally does. There's still a bunch of stuff going on with my dad as well, so I feel for you. I will be sending my prayers, Julia. It's not a fun situation to be in by any means. But everybody, next week, we've got this gal on, Tara from Voodoo Doll Royal. So make sure you guys are here for that one. It's going to be her first live stream ever, if I do recall. So make sure you tune in, show some support, and show that love. Julia says it's cancer surgery, and it's on her nose and face. Okay. Well, I will be sending my prayers, Julia. Cancer sucks. It seems like there's so much of that shit going on.
Yep.
That's
my dad's dealing with it right now too, so it's all over the place, man.
What's that?
I said my dad's dealing with it right now too, so it's all over the place.
Man, I've got my whole, theory on all that cancer crap, and that in itself you could do a show on.
I wouldn't be surprised if it aligns with mine if I'm thinking the same thing.
It probably once we hop off here, we can compare ones. But everybody, make sure you guys have an awesome week. Julia, I hope your mom makes it through her surgery okay and everything gets cleared up. And make sure you guys check out this week's video and check out the sponsors. Like I said, tune in next Sunday and come check out Terror from Voodoo Doll Royals, guys. Catch you next time. Later. Almost forgot it. We're not gonna forget it this